And we're live. Hello, Mickey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VCS. Definitely not getting thrown into that one. Definitely wasn't tweeting or on social media or being a bad person, but we do have two series coming our way today. ASE Esports are taking on a GAM, and then in our second series, we'll have a Genius Esports taking on SBTC. Now, Quincy, let's talk about our first two teams, ASE Esports and GAM. This could very well be argued as the best team in the league against the worst team in the league. But recent performances have kind of been indicating something different. Like we've seen a lot of teams looking very strong. I know there's been a lot of hype around Saigon Buffalo, and ASE Sports have been picking up a couple of wins. So maybe now only looking like the second worst team in the league.
That, and also I would argue both teams are in a position where I would say that they are like picking up some steam, so to say. I mean, ASE Esports obviously. I
Yeah.
mean, they started with 0 wins, and then they just won 2 series right off the bat, and they kind of start to look decent, beating GE and beating that other team that I'm currently forgetting off the top of my head.
Wales.
It was Wales, yeah, the other
How
volunteer
could you
team.
forget the Wales?
How can I forget the Wales? I mean, it speaks in their favor. I forget that they lost to ASE Esports, one might say. Either way, GAM on their own didn't really have the best start, I would say, and them starting to pick up wins. I think they actually bet Team Secret, the top team of the league, so that definitely speaks in their favor. And so, with both teams being on the rise and now facing off against each other, it's a very important game for those two teams. For ASE Esports, of course, escaping that bottom danger zone, and for GAM, I mean, we know GAM, right? They have higher standards than being like upper middle of the pack. They want to go worlds. They want to win the title. They want the shield back. I mean, they got it last time, but they want it another time.
And we know how good GAM are, and GAM weren't able to go to MSI in spring. They now have Worlds, and with VCS getting 2 spots as well, heading into Worlds, the chances of them being able to make it are all the more likely. For those people who are new to the VCS or who haven't been watching the recent games in the VCS and aren't up to date with with summer, pardon me, we've got 3 teams at the top of the standings: Team Secret, SBTC, and GAM. Now, Team Secret and SBTC were tied with 5 series wins apiece and 1 series loss. And then all of a sudden, SBTC lost to Team Secret. They lost to GAM as well. So they're now tied with GAM on 5 wins and 3 losses. And right now, it's looking like Team Secret are now your favorite to be able to win the regular season as a whole. And obviously, this is aside from playoffs. And then the battle's going to be between GAM and SBTC right now for that second spot.
So far, it definitely looks to be the case. And with SPTC being on at least a little bit of a slump, one might say it, as they just now lost to GAM, which is, of course, very understandable in general. Also played the other top team, which kind of makes it, in their own right, makes it somewhat fair. But if you are like aspiring to be the top team, you also gotta beat the other top teams. And then with DR1 being one of their new key players who was returning from an extended break, it definitely looks like they are also in a position where they really need to prevent dropping another game. I mean, 3 losses in a row would definitely be devastating if you are challenging the top spots. And Genius Esports, while they have known players, you really consider this a must win if you are SPTC Esports, I would say.
And as you mentioned, for SBTC, they've got a must-win game later against Genius. And towards that top end of the standings, SBTC and GAM tied with 5 wins. Then you've got Saigon Buffalo and Cerberus directly behind them with 4 wins. You're talking about just one series separating 4 teams in a battle for second at the halfway point in the standings. Well, actually, just a bit past the halfway point because we've had 8 series so far. So if you're SBT, well, actually, let's take it from the GAM perspective. GAM have had a lot of form right now. Surely they should be very confident in being able to lock in that playoff spot.
They should be. I mean, especially with like, the playoff spot is basically. I mean, maybe that's a bit harsh to say to teams like Team Wales, but it just now looks like a 5 teams race to really challenge for 4 spots, with Cerberus and Saigon Buffalo being not exactly tight, but tight in the match score for the 4th spot. And yeah, of course, you only have 4 spots out of 8 that actually go towards the playoffs. So it's looking pretty rough for the teams below them, but for GAM, it's looking definitely still decent. That you, of course, as GAM, want to have a strong showing before the playoffs, want to make like statement matches where you also maybe even get teams to like ban champions out that they don't really have to ban out. And with B returning now, GAM is definitely looking to put up some steam to go back into form. With, of course, B being, I think he was sick or had like some kind of injury, but where he really couldn't play. And them using Elio, who beforehand played for BTS, who sadly got relegated last split. It's looking like GAM's better again. And on the side of course, on side of ASE Esports. Them now in their own right, getting up 2 wins. If they just now also beat GAM, we can confirm for them that they are legitimate. I mean, beating 2 bottom tier teams isn't quite doing the job. We are, of course, in for a welcome surprise that they even managed to do that, but beating GAM would definitely cement them as like a team that is far from a pushover, I would say.
Yeah, we've always spoken about how Team Wales are the coin flip team of the VCS. We've seen them have some good games where they beat GAM. They took a game off GAM in week 4 and arguably could have even won the series. But then we've also seen them lose to Genius, and now they've lost to ASE Sports as well. Looking at it from ASE Sports' perspective, though, they're now tied in the series with Genius. Do you personally think, Quincy, that the recent performances we've seen from ASE Sports with Uzi getting that insane play on the Zeri, do you think that was a stroke of luck, or do you think this is what we can now expect from ASE Sports throughout the rest of the season?
I think for the side of ASE Esports, as I just now need to load us into the draft, give me a sec, as I'm also parallel to that producing the stream. We just go over to the draft itself. And speaking of that, for ASE Esports, I think it's more than just a little bit of luck, I would say. So it's definitely something that is new to them. And gotta say, Uzi, even in the losses, looked very, very good. And ASE Esports, I think in general, I mean, starting off from day one where they played against Team Wales, they didn't look too bad, right? I mean, they took one game, if I recall correctly, and it was also, especially like LLT and Tutti or Playcool, whoever of those two midlers was playing, was not having a terrible performance either way. So I think it is more than just a straight of luck, especially with them winning a second series. And I think they can definitely challenge Genius Esports later on if they play again, and then just at least not be like bottom of the barrel within the VCS.
Well, we are into picks and bans, and GAM are already giving a little bit of respect over to Uzi's Zeri. They don't want to be finding themselves in the same position that we saw Team Wales in just under a week ago. For the side of ASE Esports, fairly standard bans. You know, that Tilia has been a very big pick, and we know how much junglers like the Lee Sin, and in particular, Levi and his Nocturne.
Yeah, the Nocturne taken away. And what really surprised me is like the lack of focus on the AD carry. Well, I mean, it's basically just a Zeri bun so far, and just now with Kalista gets one up a little bit more, but it's just not really that much focus on Uzi in particular, with of course that Zeri bun being targeted at him, but overall, like something like the Senna is open, something like the Lucian would still be open for like the side of any mid lane or top lane that would like to play it. But what they instead go for is the Wukong, which is currently, I would call it a flex pick for the top lane and the jungle position, and it is also a very strong pick in the top lane still into something like the Gnar, which is maybe even arguably the best top lane on the patch right now. Don't let Mabi hear it, but either way, Sivir gets locked in, and that is, of course, with the mini river coming out, one of the strong AD carries on the patch as well.
And we saw how incredible Sivir was 1 week ago. Once we headed on to patch 12.13 here on the VCS, Sivir just getting picked up left, right, and center. ASE Esports, though, saying that the Sivir isn't incredibly important for them. They're going to be focusing on the Wukong. GAM themselves pick up the Sivir, and instead of locking in the Poppy, they instead choose the Viego.
And that really surprised me, because against something like a Wukong, you would usually like to play some AP junglers, and Levi is one of the best AP jungle players in the VCS, or maybe even the world, arguably. We know his famous Garthos, we know that he played Gragas jungle when nobody was playing Gragas jungle, and he instead opts for the Viego, which is not a typical Levi champion, I would say, so that's kind of a little bit of a surprise. But Viego, of course, due to the fundamental concept of the champion itself, is never really bad, I would say, with the reset mechanics coming out and him always being like such a high DPS threat, and also still being allowed to be somewhat tanky with the Divine Thunder builds coming out for him. But everything comes at a price in draft, I would say, and what they are giving over, it's a Lucian Nami bot lane. Some call it a bait bot lane, and what's your opinion on that?
So, whenever I think about Lucian Nami, I always think back to Spring, and I think back to Team Flash when it was Slader and Arte who picked up the Lucian Nami, and it completely turned around Flash's performance. I don't think Lucian Nami is as strong as it was in Spring. Still a good bot lane duo, and I'm interested to see how it's going to go up against Style and B in the bottom lane. You mentioned before how B has returned to GAM, has replaced Elio, and while Elio was a good support, B has just been able to take GAM back up to that next level and has been able to kind of spearhead GAM's charge through the likes of Team Secret and SBTC.
That's kind of the point, but Elio has been good, but not great, I would say. And like B is like next to like the other amazing supports, like we have Juho, we have Taki. Like he's up on that level, and there's like a very few distinguishing those kind of players. And Elio, I mean, while he was okay, he was doing the necessary job. But if you really want to be like a top dog, you really need to fire on all cylinders and have strong players in every position and challenging for the top spots in those individually as well. As GAM now heads towards some mid lane bans, banning away the Silas and the Akali. The Silas ban kind of surprised me because they don't really show that great Silas hijack ultimate so far, with of course the Death Charge from Nautilus being kind of decent, but the others being like okay-ish, I would say, so there's definitely some room that's still open. With ASE Esports banning something like the Jax, I would see them maybe preparing something like a Gwen pickup for the side of LLT, as Jax is of course the primary Gwen counter pick that would then be locked in by the side of Kiaya, maybe to shut down the potential Gwen.
Yeah, I'm very surprising that, you know, the likes of Gwen has been left open. They're going to be putting Kati on Seraphine in the mid lane. And this is something that we saw from Saigon Buffalo. I believe it was last week or maybe the week before, where they started putting Froggy on the Seraphine mid. It worked out very well for Saigon Buffalo, and Saigon Buffalo recently looking like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the VCS. You also talked a little bit about Levi on that Viego. It's actually his first time playing the champion Quincy, but just as you kind of highlighted, that Gwen is open and ASE Esports lock it in now that the Jax counter pick has been banned away.
And also something that's not on the table for the side of GAM would be something like the Wukong, because that's already the jungle pickup for the side of ASE Esports. And now Vex being a potential pick. I also understand the Silas ban a bit better by now, by the way, as they have taken the Seraphine for the mid lane. You don't want to play Seraphine into Silas and give that insane pickup to them. What they now lock in is a Gnar. Like, one small play of mine from my side now, you could potentially play Gwen jungle and Wukong top to counterpick the Gnar right now if you don't want to play Gwen into the Gnar. But Gwen jungle has kind of fallen out of favor. I have seen it recently in the University League I'm casting. But maybe for VCS it is a little bit too high of a level to really play it.
I've been seeing a lot of Gnar versus Gwen matchups. I don't think even just in the VCS as well. I think I've been seeing it maybe in the LEC as well. It just seems to be the two go-to top laners. Outside of maybe Gangplank as well, I think that's kind of, I want to say, your trinity of meta top lane picks right now.
The Gnar, the Gwen, and the Gangplank? Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, yes. I mean, aside from the Gwen counter picks, of course, which would be like something like the Jax you could play. Either way of that, like the Gnar counters are kind of getting stale, right? Because you, at the current moment where Gnar is so strong, you don't even want to play Camille into Gnar, which is kind of surprising. And then you would maybe consider something like an Irelia, but those are like kind of going to the niche. But while you could basically blind pick Gnar, Gangplank, and Gnar and Gwen in basically anything, like all these top laners with a G really starting off. And yeah. But what would you think of this draft overall? I think for both compositions, it's looking kind of fine.
Ooh.
Yeah. Gotta say so, for the side of GAM, Seraphine as single AP could be a problem.
So here's the thing, Quincy. I'm a play-by-play caster. I am a simple man. I see a Sivir, I see a Seraphine, it gets a thumbs up from me. Strong ADC, they get to pick fights whenever they want, and I don't know. I just really like this composition. I think it's just able to get picks as and when it needs. But you're the color caster at the end of the day, Quincy. So what's your thoughts on the draft?
I think if I just now kind of started to answer my own question a little bit, it was kind of going the way of, yeah, I mean, Kati as a single AP on the Seraphine pick seems like a problem at first hint, but it's also like a Seraphine. She can still on her and go on something like the Liandry's Torment and also like enchant the Sivir to some extent, while Sivir is not a typical hyper carry. With the mini view, she kind of is, I would say, almost, because like those ricochet bounces are like getting insaner and insaner every time you see it. And so I think in that regard it looks fine for the side of GAM. However, ASE Esports, they also on their own need to do like some noise in the early game with them playing like the Lucian Nami bot lane. They have a very good damage profile with Vex and Gwen being like the AP solo laners, Wukong being the AD jungler on their regards. And as I just now say, they force Uzi to start Relentless Pursuit level 1. I think that's maybe a decent start. Gotta say though, some Lucian Nami lanes do that anyway.
And there you go. It's already a win for GAM. They've got Lucian to start on the E instead of the Q. And I guess a bit of a nerf then for Uzi in the early stages of the game. Anyway, I want to actually talk about something that some people might think is irrelevant. Nyla, have you had a chance to experience the new ADC that is tearing up the Rift?
Nila. She actually calls herself Nila. I just played her in the bot game recently.
Nila, okay, Nila.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'm just German and you should pronounce the I that way. Either way, I have, and I think the champion is very, very clunky, but very, very strong if it actually gets ahead. It's a little bit like Samira. I mean, the whole kit is kind of inspired by it, I would maybe say. Either as I say that, the level 1
Oh,
fights are
poor
already stacking off.
Uzi. Oh, the relentless pursuit straight into the dredge line. The ignite does not last for long enough, and Uzi is forced under his tower. I'm just looking for the B flash auto now.
You're looking just for the B flash auto now, either way. Maybe that happens. It's a Nautilus. He could actually go for it. I mean, Style would be ready to play it, but Uzi without Summoners, very, very punishable. And that's not like the kind of threat you want to have as a Lucian Nami, because you really want to have the wave control, and currently they just absolutely lack that. SB just straight up lands the hook onto Xin. Xin, of course, still fine with it. GAM now in a position, however, they really need to play it aggressively, as a sustain can, of course, tip the scales back into the favor of AS Esports.
And Stalin B saying, look, we chunked out Uzi, now we're going to chunk out the Fishy as well. And all of a sudden, Uzi's back to almost full health because such hits the power. Oh, another great dredge line. Out comes the Boomerang Blade. But that Nami heals way, way too effectively. And Uzi now just got to run down Uzi, oh, pardon me, Uzi running down Style. Style into a brush, tries to make his way out. The Boomerang Blade doesn't land on 21. A good dredge line.
What?
The B's just going to get chunked down. And Uzi gets first blood. How has this happened? And Style's not going to be allowed to recall as Hyo picks up the second kill for ASE Esports.
Hey, this is just too good, man. I mean, 2v2 kind of baiting GAM into that, and Uzi just running them down in the Lucian Nami, showing his proficiency on the champion, and Hyo being there, right place, right time, level 3 Wukong gang coming out. Not really something you see every game, but of course, with a chugger bot lane from GAM, this could have happened. And here we see again how they really played it out. Uzi, he's almost back to full HP from the Nami sustain. It's actually insane.
Yeah,
and yeah, Style,
he was 10
absolutely
HP a
suffering.
minute ago.
Yeah, you were speaking of like maybe flash auto attack from B, and yeah. Yes, that's what happens to B. He also keeps his flash, by the way. Maybe could have survived it at the end of the day. But Hyo and Uzi weren't having any of that. And AS Esports showing us why they maybe shouldn't stay at the bottom of the table.
So, can I just say, I want to go back to a previous question you make. What do I think of the Lucian Nami? I think it's pretty strong, I'm going to be honest with you, Grinsey. As now Levi looking for the counter-map play, looking towards LRT, hides behind the tower, forces Kiaya to flash to pick up the kill. And that was a good tower dive from GAM.
That was certainly a good start by GAM, just abusing the Megana form with early CC coming up to really make it hard for the side of the Gwen to really challenge it. I mean, Herald Mist doesn't really bring you any favor in that situation. And that is GAM striking back in the cross-map play, something that we really want to see out of them. And gotta also say, like, while this bot lane 2v2 worked well for the side of ASE Esports, farming department-wise, it's kind of even still, so I don't think Style and B are too unhappy about it either way.
And now there's a Noon Quiver on Uzi. I'm sorry, that dredge line's not going to land, and that just means that Uzi gets to be aggressive for a bit. And I guess sometimes playing against Nautilus is very similar to playing against Blitzcrank, because as soon as that Q goes on to cooldown, you can really start to abuse the matchup.
You definitely can, as we know. Sorry about that, either way in the stream. I forgot to disable the no ads sign.
Is that the one where Clockwork's just pointing, we don't have ads on our stream?
No, it was the one where we had like in the streams before this split where we had like the caster names on it. It's like the one that
okay.
The lower third. Either way, that's gone now. Thanks for the feedback in our internal channel. And speaking of that, ASE Esports have a good early game so far, right? The first 5 minutes definitely working as we didn't expect maybe of them, but with that composition, of course, you gotta deal some damage in the early game. And right now it's looking fine. I mean, also play cool on the Vex. We haven't seen Vex in a while, but do you know why that is the case? It is of course the case because of the durability patch, making her resets a lot harder to get through. But speaking of resets, Levi is in the bot lane.
Here comes Levi. Uzi just trying to hide behind the tower on B. Good dredge line. Uzi looking for the kill. They get one onto B. But now what can Uzi do? Levi stealing away the soul. And not enough damage from Uzi onto Starla. Snipping under the tower is LLT, but he just takes a tower shot. And that tower dive from LLT was not the smartest thing in the world.
No, it really wasn't, as LLT just now dies, and maybe getting a bit too high here with that early game coming up for the side of ASE Esports. Usually I like to see LLT really playing this Narc well matchup, as he was playing both sides of it well, but just now not really working. And here, you can't kill Kiaya there. Many Nas too tanky by now, and
I mean, that was a lot of damage with the Sheen.
It was, but yeah, doesn't have any CC yet, and that's Hyo. They actually tried to dive him earlier to... Yeah, I basically did the same play
Oh.
twice and just killed him in the 1v2.
Oh. I understand why LLT went for that. He had 4 stacks on the passive, but they didn't all land onto Kiai. I think only the first snip landed. So Kiai survives, and 4 kills to 3 now for GAM. Uzi, though, still strong despite that gank that we just saw from Levi on the bottom side of the map. 2 and 1 has a noon quiver, has a pickaxe as well, so should still be able to unload a lot of damage onto Stalin B if he chooses to go in for those trades.
Absolutely. As currently. Yeah, it was kind of when missing like the 2 damage cone from the snip, and that was ultimately the problem there. With LT hitting that, I think it would just be a dead Kiaya, and maybe with Triumph or anything like that, LT would survive. But like this, I mean, they just give Kiaya a favor. He now equalized the gold department for the side of GAM, and them also on the cross map taking the first wave means that GAM was winning on both sides as a map, of course. And speaking of the composition from the side of GAM, it's still good for them. I mean, I like the Seraphim mid lane pick a lot, actually, if I think about it. I mean, yes, of course, the damage split would maybe not be ideal, but there's just so much to make use of that enchantment, right? You have Sivir and Viego who can deal brilliant damage if they are paired with Seraphine, and all that damage really is sticking in. Is something that ASE don't really have an answer for. I mean, they don't really have a full tank to really can frontline all this physical damage coming out. But as we are speaking of that right now, there is a Rift Herald started by them, and with Vex being there and Kati not making a move, this should be theirs. Levi is in the vicinity, but I think GAM is not at the right time for it.
A little bit late. Rift Herald has already been secured as Playcool want to go for the play. Flashes out of the Encore, and the Cyclone on top of Kati Seraphine. They get a kill. Playcool on the run. Flasher forward, and the Crushing Blow is going to be able to pull 1 kill back. Hyo is now forced to run for his life. Flashes over the wall and out to safety. So 1-for-1, but ASE Esports pick themselves up the Rift Herald.
1-for-1, and I think ASE Esports is very happy with it. It's Rift Herald number 1 is very, very important. Basically, just 300 gold you can get almost guaranteed unless you do an ego Rift Herald, so definitely something that they are happy about. As GAM is also going for that fight, which I think is a little bit questionable, as it is basically just them fist fighting into it, with ASE Esports having the first move, and LRT, he was kind of not really interested in doing that anyway, but Kiaya was a little bit more so. As LT right now using the needlework to clear the wave as I see it. He's feeling very, very threatened by Kiaya and also Levi being close to it, as he could just get dove again, but with Megana aspiring, that likely isn't happening.
You know what they say, once bitten, twice shy, and LLT being very careful under his tower, but the Mininar, just poking him out, he ends up using the Hallowed Mist just to stop a few of Kiaya's autos, but eventually that will go on cooldown and Kiaya can go back to bullying LLT.
And speaking of bullying, we have a Gale Force now completed for the side of Uzi, and Uzi, yeah, kind of being, I wouldn't say the silent star of ASE Esports, as we are keeping to praise him basically all the time. So him hitting his power spike is like the point where ASE Esports will make their next move. Of course, that is something where Lucian Nami really thrive. The next power spike we would maybe afterwards see like would be him going for the Imperial Mandate on the side of the Nami from Xin. Right now, that bot lane from GAM seems to have stabilized quite a bit, and I just want to see ASE Esports finding a good point to really pressure GAM. That hasn't happened so far yet, aside from that one early game fight where they got this 2 versus 0. With the great gank coming out by Hyo. After that, it's basically just them doing reactive moves. Aside from maybe that Rift Herald play that also worked decently for them. But LLT struggling in that 2v1 against Kiaya, not really a good look for the side of them. Hyo, I'm not sure if they are aware that he's around, but Levi is also there.
This is a 3v3 Cyclone. B goes golden, but he's going to come out of stasis, and it will be a kill for Uzi. Uzi desperately trying to run from Levi, but Levi will eventually be able to pick up the kill. And now looking towards Xin. So much damage. Heartbreaker forward. Good Aqua Prison from Xin. Did the Shadow Surge land? I think it was just out of range from Playcool. And Levi, I think, is going to get the kill onto Hyo. No, Hyo just about gets the shutdown. And Kati will shot Mr. Ball. Good Aqua Prison. This time the Encore will land. Beat drop. Rooting Playcool in place. Forced to flash away, but the ricochets are being fired out. And it is a kill for, it's a kill for Kati. 2 kills, I believe, for Kati.
2 kills, you believe, for Kati. That's just maybe a taste of what's about to come with this Sivir and Seraphine composition to really like get going. We have seen a bit of a glimpse of what Levi can do in the Lucian, and the sad answer is not so much as he's not an AD carry player. Was kind of struggling to find the next kill when he was diving between two turrets, and maybe just a little bit of cockiness on the side of GAM as well, as they know that they will likely propel this game even further with them playing this dive out cleanly. Also, if that Shadow Surge from Playcool hits, it could also be a whole different way, as he would get a reset and then be able to cast a second one of those. And
I
that's
want to
definitely
see a replay to see how close that was, because I think it was just 1 or 2 pixels short.
pixels, maybe the wrong unit, but it was very, very shortly missing. I also hope to see a replay of that, as we just now see the first item completions on the side of GAM as well. I earlier addressed the Gale Force power spike coming up on the side of Uzi, but Kati's in trouble in the mid lane. Where are you?
Well, nowhere for him to go in a 1v3, and it's a shutdown quite comfortably picked up by Hyo. And I just want to highlight this in case no one's realized, but ASE Esports are giving GAM a really good game.
So far, they definitely are. I mean, they gave away the first 2 Drakes and are down in gold overall. But still can make something with that first Herald they, I think, just now used. And as you see in the mid lane, there should be another skirmish.
There is another skirmish. It's a Cyclone on to a Levi, and it is a kill for Zin. It's a Rift Herald in the mid lane, and this is going to be first tower of the game for ASE Esports, potentially. There's not really much B can do all by himself on a Nautilus.
Not that, but turret platings are, of course, still making this turret quite tanky, so there's not a first tower yet or anything along those lines, as, of course, Kati is just now also responding. Whoa!
Oh, that is aggressive! It's a kill for Playcool. He's going to die for it, but clearly ASE Esports and Playcool saying he wants the kill, he wants to get a little bit more gold, doesn't care if he gifts the kill over to Kati in the process.
And I don't think that's a cool play at all, if I dare say that. I mean, it looks cool, but it's actually not something that you really want to do. As you, of course, give gold to the side of the Enchanter and Kati, who can do so much to enable Style and Levi in his own. I think Play cool maybe thinking, I need to 1v9 this game, need to get fed on this Vex, and yeah, trading the gold this way. And also in general, like you see this skirmish again, was just a Herald push coming up by the side of ASE Esports, and then GAM daring to contest that, as it is a little bit over aggressive from them, with giving it away a 2-0 for the side of ASE Esports. Them not really finding a reset for the side of Levi, who has been decently fed, but he's not like in a position where he can 1v9 the game yet. And also like the Steel Caps and the Divine Thunder HP, not doing too much to really prevent dex damage from streaming into him. He's basically dealing 2 damage to the side of Levi with this Luden's Tempest plus Sorcerer's Shoes on his side. And
so right.
Yeah.
Oh, good flash from Playcool, as I believe he had a Hex flash that he used over the wall and threatened to land the Dredge line on top of the Vex. What I was going to say, though, is Uzi 3 and 2 has a first item completed, but Style is a little bit more CS than Uzi, and as a result, the items are relatively even in that bottom lane currently.
They absolutely are. Gotta say, though, like, you almost have to counter Imperial Mandate as a Lucian item if you are playing this Lucian Nami composition, so it's actually Uzi being very, very strong right now. And Nami, of course, as an Enchanter, scales way better with items as Nautilus would do. The Nautilus basically just your crowd control bot, so to say, as Hyo, I think. You got the Scuttle at least. I mean, that's at least a consolation prize to drop the second Drift Herald to the side of GAM. Of course, we know second Drift Herald, not the best objective in the world, but still decent to really have like one distraction ready if you play for this third wake, which GAM will definitely do, as it will be an Ocean Soul, which is, of course, in its own right, one of the worst souls, I would overall say, but still a great soul to really have if you are playing these compositions that are very hard to kill in general, with Seraphine being close to you, with the Nautilus speeding for you. And that's something that GAM really, really likes to take. As they are, however, I have to agree with you. I mean, they are not like absolutely stomping the bottom tier team, and they definitely have the standards as being like the top dog, the team everyone knows in the VCS, to really smash them harder in this early stage of the game. And so far, they really aren't doing that. And that is not really something that I would really like flame them for. It's just that ASE Esports is playing a decent game.
Esports are taking the engage. They look for B. They're going to be able to get the kill. The Culling's really not ripping through Style, but eventually you will get the kill. Now running from his life, but the high note from Cardi's going to be able to pull 1 kill back. Going under tower, the beat drop lands onto Hyo, but Hyo's going to be able to survive just about and out of range of that high note. Gamma going to be able to get a couple of kills. They're going to be able to get the outer tower in the mid lane as well, but overall, it's a 2 for 2.
It's a 2 for 2, but the turret goes down because of that Herald push coming up by the side of GAM. Uzi dying is, of course, very, very detrimental to those fights. I mean, they got style, but trading it for Uzi is, I think, not even that worth of a solution right now. It's a stronger AD carry, if we see in the bot lane. Parallel to that, as Kiaya is chunking down LLT in this Narc Ven matchup, which at this stage of the game is very, very good for the Gnar as well, especially with him being up 2 kills, being up some farm, being up some local gold probably, due to all these turrets being taken as well. And yeah, the Triforce now really, really ripping in the damage, as GAM will take this other turret as well, and just now seem to regain control of the game, I would almost say, but they never really dropped the full control of the game anyway. But gotta say, was a good try by the side of ASE Esports to really get this catch onto style going, but the response from GAM was just ready as well.
Yeah, and if Uzi didn't have to tank those couple of tower shots to get Star, that could have been a completely different story. In the end, they just didn't have enough burst to get through B and Style on the initial part of the fight. I do want to talk a little bit about ASE Sports split so far, because at the start of the split, I was very impressed by Playcool. I think he had been, or he still is, a very consistent mid laner for them. Maybe, not at the level of, Artifact or DR1, but I think he is a solid, consistent mid laner. Then Uzi stepped up last week, and now I feel like in this series, Hyo is stepping up massively as well.
Yeah, he was also stepping up this game. I mean, we just saw how he started the game off with this early bot lane dive to really get going on the Wukong pick. And of course, in the early game, has a decent matchup against the Viego. But now, again, don't get to talk. GAM's fighting.
LLT trying to come from the side with the needlework. B has already fallen, but it's a big 3-man Gnarlhold from Kiaya. And LLT just doesn't have the damage. Stuck in a 1v4. He can snip, but he won't be able to find a single member of ASE Esports. And GAM pick up themselves an ace for 1, and they'll be taking themselves on to Ocean Soul Point.
ASE Esports engage was decent, but GAM's engage was just better. I mean, we all just saw what Kiaya did on this Mega Nav, really smashing them all into this wall. And this whole Enchantment Seraphine composition around Viego and Silver is now really starting to gel. Also, like the gold lead was also starting to go towards significant amounts, and GAM just to some extent also clapping them with their wallets, which result in a 5 for 1 for them. Also going to Soul Point. Baron not on the table yet, as it would maybe be a topic if, yeah, there would be a Baron on the map right now. But so far, GAM just now with this fight kind of cemented that game to be like in their pocket. It's a 5,000 gold lead by now, and ASE Esports, I don't blame them for going for this engage in general. Just if you really want to get a pick, you need to get it instantly. And against Kati Seraphine, that's just so hard to do.
And as you mentioned, that Seraphine, huge for Kati on practically 3 items at this point as well. And that's just B, just finding the flash engage onto Hyo.
Yeah, and also like the initial positioning from ASE Esports is a little bit questionable. I like what they tried to do with like going for something like a Cyclone into Shadow Surge from the side of Playcool and Hyo, but it just wasn't really enough, as they were like the only damage dealers really being in prime position. Uzi and Zin can get cleaned up way too quickly, and you really need Uzi's damage in these team fights, and yeah, that's just not happening if you really die so quickly. And LRT's Gwen, I gotta say, while I like the laning phase to some extent, I think as soon as he died to Kiaya in the turret, he maybe kind of tilted a little bit, and he's just on 1 item right now and really struggling to find impact in his team fights as well.
Well, it's been one of the questions we've had about the side of ASE Esports. Who has been a better top laner for them, LLT or 2T, and who would rather see in? And I feel like while we've had mixed responses, I feel like we've been leaning more towards the side of 2T.
I mean, 2T is the main mid laner, right? But
Yes.
if the substitute...
Well, no.
Sub-mid
laner at this point.
I mean, his main role is the mid lane, is what I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. True. But GAM's main role right now is engaging onto Hyo, but this time he is going to be
Playcool?
Playcool showing up. Again, it's a Shadow Search that lands, but it is only onto the support, and ASE Esports do not want to take this play.
Yeah, can't really follow up onto B. He's just too tanky at this point. Almost as tanky as he looks on this Nautilus support, which of course has a very high impact in the current state of the game. With also Baron being on the table right now, GAM is very, very significantly ahead all of a sudden with that massive gold swing from the last Drake fight. They could maybe even try to go for this, as the key abilities are down for side of ASE Esports. I mean, they don't have the cooling, they don't have the Shadow Surge. It's basically just Hyo and the Cyclone to really do anything. And GAM, as they are one of the top teams or aspiring to be one, would maybe even go for this small angle that they could go. But they decide against it, as yeah, you don't really need to go for this risk. It would be something they could do, and just now maybe they change their mind and they start off the Baron.
Well, Carti's Encore has come off a cooldown, and aside from that, most of the ults were on cooldown for GAM. Now, there is a flank teleport coming through from LLT. He's trying to come in from the side. The needlework is still on cooldown, but is this the fight they want? Look how low Style is! Uzi goes into the pit and will be able to shut down the Sifir. But it is a one-for-one play call, distracting the rest of the members from GAM. And GAM turn back to the Baron Nashor once again. Look at that needlework for LLT is off cooldown very, very soon. And ASE Esports want to go for the play. Into the pit goes LLT.
Oh,
He
Hio!
starts throwing out the needles. And it's Hio who finds the steal over Levi. But does LLT have the damage? He's on to B. He doesn't have any more needles to throw. All he can do is just start autoing. He's looking towards Levi. Now he looks towards Kiai, but he will look towards the base as Levi picks up a triple kill.
I don't know if I want to love or hate this play from GAM, because they were absolutely in the right to at least start the Baron off and maybe even bait a fight, but then they do a relatively poor job of zoning Hio out of the pit. He was like at 300 HP at the Wukong and managed to get in and steal the Baron, which of course granted them in a shutdown. But at the end of the day, who really was that Baron for? ASE Esports get completely aced in the aftermath of that fight, so at the end of the day, it's kind of fine for them regardless. And while it was a really, really dirty fight, I want to almost applaud GAM for going for this.
You've got a limit test, I feel. You know, the split's a long one. You need to be constantly improving, and you don't improve unless you take sometimes those 50-50 fights. If you always take the easy road, eventually you'll come up against a team where you can no longer take the easy road, and then you find yourself with no practice in the difficult place.
Yeah, and I think for ASE Esports it's worth because the objective bounties coming in. Gotta say though, like, this was a 90-10 Baron actually, and Hio was insane.
Oh, it's a two-man encore, and oh my god, Carti absolutely shreds through Xin. And now GAM find themselves with their 5v4. It's a good shutdown. Levi's down. There won't be any more resets for the Viego. Good three-man fear from Playcool. But as soon as he comes out of stasis, he will be left in the waiting arms of Style Uzi with a really good sidestep. But it doesn't matter. There's just too much damage coming through from Carti. And it is a 4 kills for just 1. And Kiaya is going to be securing the Ocean Soul for GAM.
Yeah, that's the most important part. Ocean Soul going over to the side of GAM. The gold doesn't really matter that much. I mean, GAM could be in an even state right now and would probably still roll over these fights with that disgusting Seraphine composition they really drafted themselves. Gotta give credit where credit is due. The Uzi really doing well on this Lucian to really get this culling going and finish off Levi before he can manage to get too many resets. And the fight was a little bit of a scrappy one as well. And ASE Esports, while taking a really bad fight in this river, where I think it was Xin that was getting hooked pretty early on, with B just sidestepping his... Yeah. Was just Encore hitting, just Dredgeline hitting from the side of B on the follow-up, and of course Nami, as a squishy fish she is, dies pretty quickly. But watch Uzi. I mean, definitely good start for him. It wasn't actually the culling finishing it off, but it was Hio on the Wukong. But Uzi's damage was, of course, the lion's share in doing anything in there. And Hio has to escape to the side. Uzi gets finished off in his own base by all this chase potential coming up by the side of Carti, who I really like this game. I mean, I usually like to criticize Carti for his gameplay, because he was, last split, taking very unnecessary risk, in my opinion, having a worse split than both Froggy and Artifact, which is of course no shame, as Artifact has been absolutely insane especially. But this game on the Seraphine, I really love what Carti is doing.
And Carti has been very good, and I have to echo your statement, Quincy, because I've been very harsh on Carti over the first part of this split. I don't think he's been playing well. I wouldn't have even put him in the top 3, maybe not even in the top 4 mid laners in the split. But in a couple of weeks, he's been playing very well. Has Kiaya overextended? Hio looking for the pick. The Cyclone's going to be able to find the knockup, but his 4 members of ASE Esports going for this kill. Is a shutdown for Uzi. Meanwhile, Gamma just crashing on in to 2 inhibitor towers in the top and mid lanes.
Yeah, it's just Giga Chat Kiaya. Just gets run down by 3 men, but just doesn't care. Meanwhile, his team taking maybe even 2 inhibitors out of that, as Levi is finishing down in the mid lane, and the top lane is getting cracked as well. I think, however, GAM might have to retreat right now, as they are 4v5, and you still need to respect the 5-man squad coming up by ASE Esports.
How much work does the culling do? It does a fair bit on a 2B. B will flash over the wall, but look how low the members of ASE Esports are. 2 members going gold, and Playcool will die instantly, and so will here. And despite it being a 5v4, the 4 members of a GAM are going to be coming out on top. Levi stealing the soul of Playcool, and will be able to land the fear, will be able to find the kill. And now Zin and LLD are being forced to run away from their own fountain because Levi is guarding it. They can try to back, but they're not going to be allowed to. It's going to be Zin who's backing as a mini wave crashes on in to the first Nexus Tower. The second Nexus Tower now comes under siege as well. And GAM in 26 minutes will take the first game of the series against ASE Esports.
It looked close at first, but then just kind of didn't when Gamescom really was one then with the Seraphine and the double fighters really smashing into it. New Silver also a pick to watch for the side of style as well, I would say. While Levi is not like the best Viego in the world or even in Vietnam maybe, he was still doing a decent job of it. LLT maybe choking a little bit and not really being up to the pressure on the Gwen against Kiaya, but I gotta say ASE Esports, not a terrible game for them, but GAM really making a little bit of a statement that they are, of course, still here to play and still up to really fight for these world spots.
And maybe this is something I should have brought up during the game, but let's not forget, one of the criticisms we've had for ASE Esports is that their early games at time can look good, and that we've been able to see them go toe-to-toe with some of the better teams. We saw them having a huge lead against Team Secret, albeit they did have a very early game-oriented draft. But it's always been the later stages of the game, when team fights come into play, that they've just lacked that little bit extra. And to be fair, I think they've been stepping that up, but it's still noticeable, the difference between themselves and a team like GAM.
Exactly, that's where I really want to pinpoint it. I mean, we just see the potential is there, but the clutchness kind of just isn't there, and that's just a team that maybe is a little bit of a diamond in the rough, I would say, if I want to be like very positive and nice about them, but definitely a team that we should look out for, that can deal some damage at this VCS, or maybe we could say already is doing some damage to the VCS in the meantime, and really challenging these middle of the pack teams so far.
Well, this weekend was always going to be difficult for ASE Esports. They've got GAM, and the series against GAM isn't over. They've also got SBTC on Sunday as well. But to be honest, ASE Esports are looking like a team that could potentially take a game off GAM if a few things go towards their favor. We're going to be heading into a short break, and when we return, we'll be having game 2 of our series between GAM and ASE Esports. So stay tuned. We will be back shortly. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the VCS English. Our second game of the first series of the day about to get underway. I always forget because, casting 2 series is too much for my poor old brain. Either way, ASE Esports and GAM. Currency, let's kind of break down that first game that we saw because GAM ended up winning it, I want to say fairly convincingly, but the early game showed a lot, and I mean a lot of positives from ASE Esports as it genuinely looked like they would be able to make GAM really work for that win.
They definitely made them work. I mean, we have seen this bot lane skirmish early on where it was like, of course, at first looking very, very good for the GAM side of things, but then the Lucian Nami sustain was kicking in. Hero was there for the level 3 gank, getting this dive going, 2-0 up for the side of ASE Esports. Also, there were like some moments, especially like Hero in the jungle. I mean, I really like what he overall did this game. Not only just the Baron still coming out for the side of ASE Esports, but also its early game impact in general, where he was really propelling this bot lane ahead, trying to help out LLT. That didn't quite work their way as much of it, so, but as we just now say this, there's a second draft coming up, and ASE Esports likely has, or hopefully has a better response this time.
Now, in game 1, we saw GAM giving a lot of respect towards Uzi. We saw the... Oh, pardon me. We saw... What did we see getting banned? We saw the Kalista being banned by the side of
Zeri.
GAM. We saw the Zeri. That's the champion. I knew it was Zeri, but I just couldn't remember what the champion was called. I'm really sorry.
You just have the image in your mind that champion is new. I mean, yeah. you get like some leeway in that regard. Either way, it was the Zeri, and maybe even ASE Esports has to ban it right now. Or little play of mind, kind of going away now. What I would have maybe liked would be like GAM having to pick it away because they knew Uzi would pick it and Uzi would 1v9 on the pick, and then we would be in quotation marks be forced to watch Styles Zeri, but that could also be something that's very, very strong. As ASE Esports agrees, and yeah, they just banned away the Zeri. It's a respect ban, definitely.
Now, the Civ is still open, so I'm wondering if ASE Esports are going to make it 3 ADC bans from 3, as Civ is just such a strong ADC on the patch. And you talked about Styles Zeri. I remember Styles Zeri against Team Secret being absolutely insane. Just the Team Secret against GAM series having a lot of Zeri in it. However, ASE Esports want to give more priority towards Kati Seraphine. It was a very good champion. I mean, for both of us, I think we both thought Kati was the MVP of that first game, but it does mean the Civ is open and GAM will insta-lock it.
Yeah, GAM insta-locking the Silver just like they did last game, so to say, as I was really on the website and they just at first saw, I think the Wukong was being first picked by the ASE Esports as it is right now, so we might just weirdly enough see a mirror draft despite them switching sides, which is definitely something that's very interesting to see as they just now go for the Wukong. They could play Lucian Nami again. I don't hate it too much. Gotta say though, they I think need a different answer for the side of the mid lane. I remember Playcool being like pincered enough a little bit, and while the Vex didn't really play poorly or anything, it was kind of really showing why Vex isn't played right now anymore. I mean, durability patch really not helping her out, and Nocturne was spent last game. Now Levi quickly locks it in.
Yeah, and you know, if you're gonna leave the likes of Levi's Nocturne, Levi's Kha'Zix is open, he's probably going to pick it. Actually, weirdly enough, he's got 3 games on both of those champions right now. But aside from that, GAM running back the same bot lane with this Sivir Nautilus.
Yeah, Sivir, but not just against Lucian Nami, it's what it's likely going to be against. So the only adaptation so far would actually be Levi's Nocturne, and I don't think Hankai is very unhappy about it, if I'm completely honest, as they just now go for the Braum maybe. I mean, Lucian Braum kind of makes sense. It's Braum not against double range. Braum in general also a decent pickup against the Nautilus. The Nautilus hooks himself into the Braum, then just gets stunned and dies. That's how it is supposed to work later on. So in this specific instance, I don't hate the Braum pickup at all. I actually kind of like it.
And let's not forget, Braum is very useful against the Sivir as well. You can stop the Boomerang Blade, you can probably stop the Ricochet, and I feel like now that the Sivir is designed in a way that the Ricochet can bounce back to the same target, I think the Unbreakable therefore becomes more effective against the Sivir. But I might be wrong.
I think you're correct on this one. I mean, as soon as it hits an unbreakable Braum, it will just deny the projectile even further, so the Sivir doesn't really get as much of hyper carrying as she usually would do. And Seraphine's also not on the table this time, as Kati also needs to find a different pickup for him. And I gotta say, please, Corki into Braum is something I really wouldn't advise for. I mean, you definitely need some magic damage somewhere. I think Corki could work, but not against Braum. Please not. I mean, what's really in Kati's arsenal is what I really try to think of right now. I mean, hopefully not something...
Galio,
yeah, that is a single AP Galio. We all know and love it. Either way, just now, top lane picks getting taken away, as that is of course understandable, as LLT... Or this time, I just now see it. It's actually Tutti playing. LLT got subbed out.
Hey.
So we see Tutti top lane again. I'm also looking forward to see that, as I only casted Tutti when he played mid lane, and that's like a personal debut for myself. And yeah. Speaking, of course, of that different champion pool for the side of the top lane, he doesn't really play mid lane champion in the top lane, but he's just a standard top laner if he happens to play that role. So maybe the Wukong is actually for him, but it looks like he can show his teammate how to play the Grand matchup probably.
We'll see what Kiaya wants to pick up. The Gnar is still open, and it is what we saw Kiaya playing in Game 1. We've also been seeing kind of a resurgence in Rise games here in the VCS, and I believe across many other regions. So will that get picked up? But you talked about, you know, the single AP threat, the Galio locked in. I wonder if they'll look for another AP top laner for Kiaya, or whether they just pick up the Gnar once again.
GAM just doesn't care. I mean, they don't really have to care too much. I mean, they are playing against Wukong Braum, of course, not the squishiest champion in the world, but there's like no Giga Tank or anything on the side of ASE Esports that would really make it hard for them, and they just now have to fill in their mid lane role, which of course, against Galio, that's a champion you can somewhat counter. I mean, you could play something like a Cassiopeia into it, in the current meta, maybe something like the Azir, and if you keep the Galio on distance, you can do some decent damage, but what they're going for it now... Lucian mid lane against Galio would destroy the Galio, but it's Tristana, and I'm not quite sure if it's Lucian or Tristana mid lane. I mean, both could work. I think with Braum you would want to have the Lucian, but mid lane you would want to have the Lucian as well. You can't pick 2 Lucians, sadly enough, which ASE Esports would maybe like in this situation.
Could you imagine? No, but like genuinely, imagine if you could pick like the same champion twice. Like, how sick would that be?
Maybe you can in the future with Samira and Nila or Yasuo Yone. I mean, if we go or Seraphine Sona. I mean, we have seen that bot lane. It was absolutely disgusting, but luckily we can't do that. Also would have loved to see would be something like an Akshan, maybe as a replacement Lucian for the mid lane, but they go for the Tristana, which is a pick that can of course work against the Galio. Should be a very good lane matchup at least. Tristana on the current patch is not really that strong, as she's also, just like the Vex last game, ironically for Playcool, one of the champions that suffers from the durability patch coming out, and Tristana as a pick needs to do a decent amount of damage in the early game. And
Yep.
overall, the composition, very physical damage sides comped by both teams. But I gotta say, GAM, I think they are very much in their comfort zone as they just now got the same bot lane again. Got the Nocturne Galio global presence, I think is also something we really shouldn't underestimate. And I think GAM is very, very happy with the draft overall. Should, of course, be able to do some damage with this Galio Nocturne and maybe even a Mega Knight flying into these Drake team fights and then just liberate what ASE Esports brings to the table. But gotta say, let's not underestimate Lucian Braum as well, or what Braum in general does to nullify the silver pick.
And I feel like GAM have a very similar composition, a very similar play style to what they had in game one, where you've got this Sivir Nautilus and you can just run directly at ASE Sports, and you've got a Nocturne ult that just flies in, then you throw in the hero's entrance on top. But for ASE Sports, I feel like they've drafted to what they do well, which is playing for the early game, getting leads for the likes of Uzi and Play Cool with these AD picks. It is Play Cool's first game on the Tristana this split, but I can't love what ASE Sports have done with their draft.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta give credit where credit is due. Definitely a decent draft coming out by their side. With, yeah, this time a different player on the Gwen. This time also playing against the Na yet again for the side of Kiaya. And this could be something where Tutti really shows up his own teammate in this regard. And overall, I mean, good physical damage coming out by their side. The Wukong also not getting too threatened by the Nocturne in general, I would say, as you cannot really spell shield a good spell from the Wukong, and Wukong can just beat up the Nocturne in the jungle if he happens to find him. But Levi, of course, he's on his comfort pick, and he knows what to do on it. He knows how to avoid these duels, or maybe even find the duels in the right place at the right time, and just start impacting the side lanes around level 6, I would expect him, because then the Paranoia, the most important spell of his kit, of course, then gets to be used.
So both junglers are going to be starting on their red buffs, which means that we might be seeing here looking for a gank towards the bottom side early on, which is exactly what I would like to see anyway. Try to accelerate Uzi, just like what Hyo did in game one.
Yeah, exactly what they're going for. And here we see Levi going for the Crux on his side, as that might just be something that they're doing. And yeah, of course, bot lane action this time not really showing up too much. And yeah, what I now want to see is, of course, this mid lane Tristana pick really coming to fruition, as it currently hasn't been able to do much. Of course, the first 3 levels not really something where you can really see much. Kati just now getting pushed in, but he will be even in CS, so far nothing that Play Cool could have done.
Play Cool just going to try to bully out Kati as much as possible. Still early stages in the lane, so not really too much of an advantage that Play Cool has been able to establish just yet, but I'm sure his CS will start to extend even further over Kati as the minutes roll on.
Yeah. And just now, power farming coming up by the side of Levi. Here, Uzi with the first aggressive move against Style, forcing away the heal.
Oh, that's a really good dredge line onto Uzi. How did B land that? I don't quite know, but either way, Uzi instantly cleansing it, and Xin just hovering, looking for a potential Winter Spine.
Yeah, Summoner Spells now being traded. It's a cleanse against 2 Summoner Spells by the side of GAM, so first good trade by the ASE Esports bot lane. Uzi yet again showing his proficiency on this Lucian pick together with Xin, who on this Navi last game, I mean, he had like some moments, but also some bad moments, especially in the laning phase where he was getting hooked into very awkward situations. On this Braum, it will be much easier for him.
And they get level 3, and in goes ASE Esports. They're looking for the first blood once again, but they're not going to find it. Either way, they do force B and Style out of the lane.
Yeah, very good yet again by the side of ASE Esports. And Style and B maybe not respecting it as much, or just right now getting tested by this pressure coming out. Hyo also this game, just like last game, being around level 3 for a potential dive. Wisely by the side of Style and B to just back off and reset, as Style now in his own right got the cull, so he's ready to like farm into the late game and really play this lane as safely as possible, as that is not really bring him too much combat stats. Yaya now on this Narb matchup against the Gwen is not quite as dominating as he was last game, so Tutti definitely making some arguments to be the starting top laner for the side of ASE Esports to look further and get more wins under the belt.
Yeah, and Tutti just trading into Kiaya a little bit, having a better laning phase than what we saw from LLT previously.
Yes, and we see this wave state being kind of neutralized. I think though Kiaya wants to push this wave in, and with Hio being around, this might be like one window where Kiaya can get killed. Minion?
Kiaya is taking minion autos, and it is enough for the first blood for Hio. So completely different to what we saw in game 1, which was the focus towards the bottom side from Hio. Instead, we get it towards the top side, and ASE Esports once again find themselves with first blood.
Yeah, and already showing that this top lane is looking better for ASE Esports this time. Hio being there, right place, right time. Of course, Kiaya was in an awkward situation. He kind of had to push this way in. He was Medina, so a very easy snack for the side of the Wukong. He had to use his flash for it, however, and the minion actually finishing it off was kind of a comedy of errors, I would almost say, as Levi just now goes for the Drake. We see in the replay again how it played out. Kiaya, he tried to go for the solo kill, however. I mean, I understand if he would just try to push the wave as hard as he could, but here he just went over aggressive. I mean, that's very cocky of him to do so. Will grant them the Drake because they just had enough information on Hio, and now they go for a fight.
They're going to get the Drake, but will they be able to get the kill? Xin diving in. It's a 3-man stun from Akati, but what can Uzi do? He's forced to flash out of the hero's entrance. GAM find themselves with the Drake and a kill as well.
And maybe not even stopping there.
Or the flash doesn't quite, or the flash hook from B does not find Uzi and GAM. Unfortunately for them, can't find a second kill of the fight.
And I'm so positively surprised by Kati, I must say. I mean, this guy is such an insane presence in this team, but look how he was like using the hero's entrance on top of himself, basically, to really just force so many reactions out of the side of ASE Esports with the flash blown by the side of Xin and Uzi. The kill going over, I think it went over to Style, I'm not quite sure. Maybe we'll see later if we see the scoreboard again. As this, of course, means GAM equalizing the gold score yet again, going for this Inferno Dragon. Here we see how the fight played out. Of course, with Hio ganking top lane, he would be late for this play. Gets hooked, and now this backline dive goes really insane for the side of GAM, with really Kati going for an insane taunt play, getting the knock up. Levi also was the one really finishing off with the kill. Kati using this Hio's entrance on top of himself. Uzi now has to run for it. They try to go for more with this flash hook, but it just hits the wall, so there's nothing really to take from it. And GAM also knows when to really step out of it and is happy with what they got.
So, 1 kill to 1 right now. It is still ASE Esports with the goal lead, courtesy of being able to get the extra gold from first blood. And, well, good start for GAM nonetheless, being able to get that first Drake. And well, we'll see whether ASE Esports are able to kind of extend their advantage in this top lane.
And I really want to see what Levi really does right now, because he has a small experience lead against Hio, with him being level 6 and Hio maybe just not finishing it off if he happens to secure this red buff. And Paranoia, of course, the key spell for the side of this Nocturne, and you really want to make good use, especially of the first Paranoia, as you likely also won the Rune Ultimate Hunter, and then reduce the cooldown even further if you happen to get any takedowns from it, and that's usually what you really do with this ultimate in the first place. So maybe something in the way he can go for the bot lane. The Braum isn't there to protect Uzi if he would go for it right now, and maybe he knows that, but he would get spotted, so Uzi also, in the bigger scheme of things, just now wisely backs away.
And meanwhile, we're seeing B and Star playing very aggressive, as you mentioned, to zone Uzi and Xin away. Levi is in ASE Esports jungle and is level 6 as well, so Uzi and Xin have to be very respectful of the Paranoia. All the while, Hio is on the top side of the map looking towards the Rift Herald, which could be some very nice plates going into maybe 2T or Playcall's hands.
Yeah, will be very easily secured, but gotta say, I mean, they also just dropped at least one plating in the bot lane already, and also so much farm and XP denied by the side of Style and B right now, together with Levi, of course, being there. I mean, this XP, this blue side minion wave will just crash into the turret, and Uzi and Din don't get to see anything of it, literally. And this is, of course, very detrimental to the Lucian lane, falling further behind. They already kind of get outskilled by the Silver in the first place, especially with the mini work coming out, and Hio just now, of course, gets a consolation prize with the Rift Herald and some camps in the side of Levi's jungle. But is that enough? I'm very, very doubtful of that.
And Playcall hasn't been able to really bully out Kati on this Galio, which is what we wanted to be seeing from this Tristana. And all Playcall has really been able to do is just match Kati in the mid lane so far. And there doesn't seem to be a real target for that Rift Herald. Like, sure, Hio can drop it in most lanes, and now Levi surely going to look for the Paranoia. He will indeed. The focus is onto Uzi. Tries to dive away, but the hero's entrance will come through. Zin now on the run. Kati on the chase are flashing forward, lands a taunt, and it is 2 kills for the side of GAM.
And ASE Esports doesn't seem to have any direct answer against this Nocturne Galio global pressure coming out. What they are really trying to do is like pressure Kiai in the top lane right now with 3 members at the Rift Herald push coming in. And they will get a decent charge, especially if this explosive charge with Tristana also hitting. But they aren't even winning this race to first turret as well, I think, as the bot lane from GAM is also pushing down on their turret. With, of course, Uzi and Zin both dying. Kati getting the kill on towards Zin. And B didn't even need to use his ultimate. I mean, that's just so much pressure used by GAM and Kiaya. Adding insult to injury also allowed delays the recall from the side of Hero and ASE Esports. A bit caught with the pants down.
Oh, play cool. Thought he could go onto Kiaya, but Kiaya had the push warded, so knew exactly what Playcool wanted to do. And Hero cancelled his recall once again, thinking that he might be needed for the play. So it's just GAM being proactive on the map, it seems, Quincy, and ASE Esports not having an answer for it.
And GAM just having the right answers. I mean, B just now also rotated towards the top lane just for the chant that also ASE Esports would stick one, just rushed on this first turret, which of course buys some time to really push down their bot lane turret on their own with Style now just being back there. It's still 2 platings for him to take, so that race would have actually been won by the side of ASE Esports, which would surprise me initially, but GAM, even in that situation, would have been ready for it. As right now, B went back towards the Drake area with Hextech Drake just now spawning. I mean, individual Drakes are kind of a meme, but Hextech Drake is something that I already like even on this patch before the buffs are really coming out. And maybe GAM wants to make a play for it as well.
B lands the dredge line onto Zin.
Levi.
Paranoia, and it is a steal from Levi on the Drake. Kyo will run, jumps over the wall with the Warrior Trickster, will be able to survive. As does Zin as well, to be fair. So ASE Esports, you know, they run with their tails between their legs. They don't give over any more kills, any more gold to GAM, but it is just like game 1 with GAM picking up the first 2 Drakes of the game.
It was ultimately just Levi using his ultimate to steal a Drake, which is kind of weird because usually you would expect if GAM really goes for a paranoia engage to go for multiple kills. And ASE Esports, luckily for them, would always say just drop not a single member, but of course drop this Drake they would have definitely liked to take. Now, Hextech Drake plus Infernal Drake, I mean, the individual stats of the Drakes, as I said before, not really that impactful, but Hextech Drake stats are kind of nice, just some offensive spikes that makes it a little bit easier for them to really get kills in these fights. And GAM, of course, with the gold, it also being in their favor. They are just having small wins across every stat you can really have in the game, and that is really oppressive against what ASE Esports is really bringing to the table here.
It's just been a very solid performance from GAM. This is what we expected in game 1. It was ASE Esports who were surprising us with how well they played in the early stages of the game. But this is the GAM that we've come to expect in the last few weeks of the VCS at Summer Split. And I don't think they're going to be slowing down, not in this game or over the course of the split either.
I mean, at least ASE Esports doesn't seem to be the team to stop them. I mean, there's still like a lot of strengths of schedule on the way for the side of GAM. I mean, they will definitely play the top teams again, will play Team Secret again. This is, of course, one of those teams that will be ready to challenge them. Or, as we have to frame it right now, it would be GAM challenging Team Secret, as Team Secret is a top dog right now. And GAM...
So, I have a question for you, Quincy. This week, we've got 2 very big games. We've got Saigon Buffalo against Team Secret, which is our first series on Friday. And then our second series on Saturday is GAM against Saigon Buffalo. Which one do you think is the bigger series? You know, if you had to give match of the week to one of them, which one would you give it to?
Actually, GAM against Saigon Buffalo, just because, not just because of the history, that would be like the very lame answer, right? One going to MSI, one winning SEA games, but actually because I think that it's a closer match. I think Saigon Buffalo in the current state would just lose to Team Secret probably, and I think GAM against SGB could be a very tight match. Saigon Buffalo, of course, wanting to make some distance.
Are you saying that GAM aren't as good as Team Secret right now?
Yes, I am. I think Team Secret is the best team, clearly.
But GAM beat Team Secret 1 week ago, or 2 weeks ago.
And I'm not too convinced by GAM overall. I mean, we have seen them against Team Wales, but they should have lost. I think Team Secret is still the team to beat.
Fair enough. I respect that. I respect that. As a president of the Eddie fan club, I can respect that. However, back to this game. GAM now sieging onto the mid lane outer tower with 3 members and Levi just hovering around hoping for a way in, and there's so much damage coming through. Dredgeline as B fishes for a potential engage. Doesn't even matter if he takes a tower shot, it does practically nothing to the level 7 Nautilus. Yeah,
and as we see that, another TP being used by the side of ASE Esports to really stop the bleeding in the mid lane a little bit, as GAM is currently leading with 3k gold on their own. Second herald is just now started by Hyo, but he might be forced to stop this, as GAM is now also on, and we have seen Levi steal one objective so far. He might just get another one.
I laugh if Tuti and Kati both teleport in. Oh my god, they're teleporting as well. We're going to get a 5v5 for the second Rift Herald. It's the play that I didn't think we needed, and now that I'm seeing it, I still know we don't need it. Paranoia into the backline. 2 quick kills for the side of GAM. I don't know what ASE Esports was smoking to think that they could take this fight, but they are not fighting anything. It's 4 quick, easy kills for the side of GAM, and the Rift Herald that ASE Esports were able to secure will not be picked up either, Quincy.
I think I know why they have to die to this. I mean, it's just some sort of tradition that every VCS team at least gets walked once by a double global comp from GAM Esports. I mean, they just do it over and over again. I remember seeing it already like 2 years ago when I started casting the VCS. And yeah, it's just them not really respecting that much. Also, being like down in every metric by a little bit is not really helping them either. They just start the Swift Herald as maybe a little bit of a desperation move already. And GAM just picked them apart with Nocturne Galio. It's just so good to see. Also, James Bond style on the 007 Civil. Not even being the main damage dealer.
I was about to bring that one up, Quincy, and ask you to close your eyes and guess who had more kills, style of B.
Yeah, B has a single kill. He's insane. And Silver support this thing again. Kati is so insane this game. I mean, I'm not used to doing so much favor for Kati in my casting, but this game,
this is what happens. This is what happens when GAM just put him on Corki and Galio.
Yeah, he just played Seraphine and Galio, right? The more supportive, the better. Like he cannot be useless on these picks, and that's very hard to say. I mean, he was like playing like some very outplayed solo queue chips like Akali last bit and was just going for risky plays and dying for no reason. If he isn't on those picks, like picks with maybe as few mobility as possible, as much utility as possible, it works brilliantly for GAM. And yeah, GAM very, very good right now. If they are as good as Team Secret, of course, I'm kind of doubtful of that still, despite them beating them to 1. But yeah, just now, third pick coming out, and Hyo, come on, this is win trading. I mean, it would be win trading if you would be winning otherwise, but Hyo, please.
He thought he had a tower to protect him, and then we see 2 autos, and the tower is gone. And then Hyo is gone as well. Everyone's gone. There's a Paranoia in the mid lane. Uzi's going to be gone as well. He cleanses, flash forward, and then he's sent back to his base.
Yeah, it's almost like ASE Esports just has a hot date later tonight, and they just want to make it a quick one. As they just now also lose their own top lane tier 1 turret. I mean, why was he in this position in the first place? He was behind the tier 1 turret. When they are so far behind, they was just emoting and getting killed. I'm a little bit baffled by that. It looked like really very unserious gameplay by him. And this is sad to see because his game 1 was so good, despite the loss.
I don't know who's got the hot date. I don't know if it's GAM or ASE Esports, to be honest. Maybe they both got hot dates. Little did they know. They've got a date with each other. So I don't know who's going to be paying the bills at the restaurant for that one. But Kiai gets a nice solo kill on the duty.
I think Kiai should pay it. He just got very, very rich. Just got some 300 gold infused for his side as well, as GAM's completely walking this game. I mean, what is there really to analyze at this point anymore? I mean, we can talk about this Tristana, who I thought should like make some noise in the early to mid game. It's on 0-0-0. Yeah, congratulations, you're 20 CS ahead against the Galio that got like 9 Dark Seal stacks, 2 kills, is on Crown of the Shattered Queen, so actually deals some damage actually, which is something very rare to see for Galios, who would usually, I think, go something like Everfrost for the extra utility, but I think Crown is definitely not bad. I mean, if you are all the time going ham, going in, and actually want to threaten some kills with Winds of War, sure, why not, just go in. And here we see, yeah, Na against Gwen, the mid game still very good for the Na, and Kiaya also mechanically plays it very, very well, a bit better than Tuti, I would say. As he has like some outplay potential to dodge like some needles, and yeah, Na with the Triforce, a very strong champion right now.
Well, going back to that crown point, I think when you're going against champions like a Tristana and a Lucian that want to do a lot of burst damage, I think the crown can be very useful, even if the Everfrost does give, you know, more setup to plays. But right now, I don't think GAM are struggling with finding setup for their plays. They're 10 kills to 1. They've got themselves a very comfortable 7-kill goalie play call. Oh, Levi been caught out? Is there any way out for Levi? Over the wall goes a Wukong trying to predict a dash or a flash, but in the end, play cool is able to secure the kill.
And that was just a mistake by Levi, I mean, plain and simple. I mean, He could have flashed Summer, but it would actually likely have been a wasted flash. He just presses Paranoia for the funds, I think. Just maybe to buy some time on the other side of the map for his team members who couldn't really make use of anything. And B, yeah,
Did you
what's
see
his
that
B?
hook?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
he tried to hook a minion, and then he hooked the wall that was just on his left. So, yeah, I just wanted to call that out because I saw it. And, you know, right now, GAM aren't making enough mistakes. So when they do make mistakes, I need to call them out.
Exactly, and you guys are trying to tell me that Team Secret is actually not the top team right now and it's actually GAM. And then I see Levi do this into B seeing this. I mean, is Team Secret really that bad? Come on.
Yeah, Zuha would never do that hook on a Nautilus, okay? Mainly because he'd probably just be playing Renata as always.
Exactly, he wouldn't even play Nautilus. We love him. He actually plays the best supports. So.
Okay. Anyway. So, how's your day going, Quincy?
I'm doing alright. I mean, just a few hours ago, I got noticed that Spoots is actually ill and I would need to be producing. But I was mentally ready for that as I'm having a great day, great cast so far. I mean, the second game especially, very, very fun to watch game, very interesting to really talk to you again, as I missed you, of course. I mean, it has been about 1 week and yeah. What are Thursdays without Milky Quincy VCS casts? They would feel weird. I mean, last time I kind of ditched you guys, which is of course very unfortunate, and I'm still very, very sorry about that. But yeah, very good day so far.
You having to produce and cast is making up for you ditching us last week, and then I had to cast with Spoods. Then I thought I was going to be casting with Marby because things, and then in the end I casted with Yulwei. So I kind of went through everyone on Thursday, just Rebel, because Rebel's scared of me, so he's avoiding me recently.
Rightfully so. Oh, is it Rebel being scared of you, or is it you being scared of Rebel?
Well, that's left up to interpretation. You know, some interpretations will be wrong in that regard, but, you know, I'll leave it open so the viewers can decide. You know, it's like a good book, Quincy, isn't it? There's no definite answer, but different readers will imagine a different scene from being able to read things. Now, when my English teacher always taught me that about, like, that's how books are and that's how cool books are, I always just said, well, that's stupid, isn't it? Because then you're all seeing different things and that just means the person hasn't written the book properly. But apparently that's good storytelling. So here we are. GAM, they pick up a soul. I'll leave the viewers to try to work out what's going on. Are ASE Esports maybe coming for a comeback, or do GAM have this game completely under their control?
Let's wait and see what Levi's really doing, as he's really in.
Oh, dearie me. I don't know why I just went off on a massive tangent. Either way, Hyo is going on a massive trip back to his base. He's going to be sitting at his PC for 30 seconds, unable to do anything except for twiddling his thumbs, as GAM will be taking the Baron, and this time Hyo is dead, so Hyo can't steal the Nashor away. Yeah,
should be a done deal with the Nash, and also why you probably went on a huge tanker, because this game should be a done deal unless GAM does some very, very major slip-up.
ASE Esports, I think they want to give a Baron over, and then they want to give 4 kills over, because they're lining themselves up all to die. Uzi will be the first one to fall. 2T is the next on the menu for GAM, and GAM say, well, thank you for the 2 extra kills there. I don't know how you thought you were going to steal that Baron away, because that was far closer to a 90-10 than it was to a 50-50.
I mean, they were 8k down, they were also down the soul, the Baron is about to be done. I think if you try now and try to go for kills, and they kind of did it with the coding command from Lucian, but gotta say, I mean, GAM is just too good to fall for that, and yeah, just secure the Baron, get 2 more free kills on their side. It looks silly, but I think ASE Esports had to try something. I would have hated it more if they would just turtle in the base and just wait for the inevitable, like this. They at least like ever 1 in 1,000 chance to really swing back like something in the game. I mean, also huge shutdowns on the side of GAM right now. I mean, it's of course Style, who didn't die this game, now started finally picking up some kills. He had a 550 gold bounty on his own head, and Kati and Kiaya also having huge bounties. And if you like get a miracle Baron secure, I mean, we have seen like I think it was a Jinx Zap stealing an Elder Dragon or something like in another VCS game. I mean, why not just go for a place like this? If your 10k go down, there's nothing really you can do in this game anyway, so might as well go for the miracle.
Okay, quick question. You take away the Baron buff away from GAM, you throw an Elder buff onto all members of ASE Esports, you throw them into an enclosed area 5v5 fight, do GAM still win?
I think they don't. I think in the Cyclone from Hero, followed by the Culling and Needlework, I think someone would die, and then yeah, you would have reached the city for Playcool maybe. I think, I mean, that at that point, ASE Esports could come back. Elder's just that insane.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to be getting an Elder Gamba crushing on in to ASE Esports space. They're now looking for the bottom lane inhibitor tower. The mid lane inhibitor has already been secured. Good hook from B. And a pop goes the Monkey King. They turn their attention towards 2T. They pick up another kill. A hero's entrance under the Nexus towers. Uzi is just getting shredded by the ricochets. And it's only poor old Zin left, the support, left to watch his base crumble in front of his very eyes. There's nothing that alone Braum can do. Maybe he'll join the rest of his team in the death chamber as B lands a dredge line, but the Unbreakable will buy plenty of time for Zin, as GAM will take a comfortable 2-0 win over ASE Sports.
Very comfortable 2-0 for them. Silver is a problem. Double globals against GAM in general, or don't give double globals to GAM. I think it's something that really teams should advise against. I mean, the Nocturne got better in the first game. In the second game, Levi showed why they really should give it to him. Especially like with Kati on the supportive utility pick. We said it over and over again. GAM just looks so good. This just now, of course, was only ASE Esports, as I wouldn't call GAM the best team in the VCS right now. Not yet. Maybe I will change my mind later on if they happen to smash Team Secret again and just clean sweep the second round robin. But right now, GAM looks good.
So right now, when you're playing against GAM, you need to be banning Sivir. You need to be banning Kalista because they're big meta picks. You need to be banning Gnar because it's a meta pick and Kiai doesn't play anything else. You need to be banning Galio, Corki, and Seraphine because Kati. And then you need to be banning Nocturne and probably the Kha'Zix as well from Levi. So, yeah, have fun playing against GAM right now.
I can't be serious about that. Either way, yeah. Some very strong
He's
picks that GAM is
three times this split, to be fair to him.
Really? You're not trolling me. He played Kha'Zix this split.
He's got 3 Kha'Zix games this split, does Levi?
Against whom? Just out of curiosity.
I'm pretty sure he played it against SBTC or Secret in one of the games.
That's impressive.
It was.
Were those wins? I'm asking very critical questions right now, to be fair.
So, okay, no. He played the Kha'Zix against SBTC and won. He went 5-0-13 on it. So, there you go.
Okay, kudos to that. Also, hello Hankai, you're cool. And thanks for the 2-0. Either way, GAM with the 2-0 finishing it out. And yeah, we still have another series to play later on this day, as Genius Esports takes on SBTC Esports. And I mean, both teams having something to prove, I would say.
Yeah. So we're going to be heading into a slightly longer break, and we'll be back in half an hour for our second series of the day, which hopefully won't be as much of a stomp as this one. Unless you're an SBTC fan, then it will be a stomp. Either way, we'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back to the VCS English. SBTC taking on Genius Esports in our second series of the day. GAM took a 2-0 win against ASE Esports in our first series. And Quincy, we've got another one of our top three teams against one of our other bottom teams. However, it's not bottom three teams, it's bottom two teams. Genius kind of tied with ASE Esports at the moment with 2 series wins. Now, both of these teams, Quincy, have been on a bit of a loss streak. Both of them have lost their last 2 series. And especially for SBTC, it's going to be somewhat important for them to be able to get back to winning ways.
It absolutely is. I mean, they really need to start picking up some wins yet again. I mean, they had a very, very good start to the split, I would say, with first of all firing on all cylinders and beating GAM, Tier 1 having a great comeback after a more extended break, I would say. And those recent series have been not so great, with losing the rematch against GAM 2-1, which is an okay loss, I would say. Also losing against Team Secret 2-1, a more than okay loss, even as we might argue that they should have actually won that series. But if you just keep losing games, it will eventually, of course, bite you in the back, and you are currently still one of the top 3 teams. But if you would lose to a team like Genius Esports, you're definitely making some arguments for maybe even falling out of playoffs.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think the only teams that have lost to Genius Esports right now are Team Wales and ASE Esports. Somehow Genius getting that 2-0 win over Team Wales. I've been too scared to even look at the VOD to figure out what happened there. But let's see what Genius can do. It's also Yijin and Dia 1, because I believe they used to be on SBTC together back in 2020 spring. So they get to meet up once more as we head on in to take some bans.
And we already are into picks and bans, with Na being taken out as this one primary top lane champion right now, one of those key blind picks. Azir, a champion we haven't seen in the first series at all, which I was kind of missing. I think it could have been a good pick for the side of Kati, but he preferred to win the Guardian Nocturne global composition for the side of GAM Esports, and it was absolutely coming into play, with Nocturne not just being a Levi pick apparently, and also just being a ban that you just ban in this meta right now, as it is also taken away for the side of Penguin, who has been a good jungler this split. I mean, I was kind of disappointed in him last split, where he was like having a better team around him, but this split, it definitely looked better overall.
I'm quite surprised at the Azir ban. I've been rather vocal about Blaze's Azir. I wasn't a fan of it because I saw it in one series and it was questionable. I believe that was actually against ASE Esports themselves, or maybe it was against Team Wales. Either way, it's off the cards. We don't need to worry about it. We're seeing that Nocturne being banned away. It's not just a Levi pick as well. We've seen DNK having one game on it, but it's Genius wanting to respect that kind of global pressure that the Nocturne brings to the Rift.
And also the Volibear being taken out, so some actual pressure that would be very strong once the level 6, level 11 mark, where the Stormbringer can deal a lot of damage. And I think this is the first time that Zeri has made it through picks and bans, and it is immediately picked up by the side of Genius Esports. That of course means that Celebrity has to play into that, and as Celebrity has been hailed by especially Uwei, it's the best AD carry this split, and also with the other analysts in Rebel and Nabi agreeing with that. He gets to have played the Sivir, which is also of course a very detrimental pick we have seen by style played in the first series of this day, and that being paired up with the Wukong, who is another strong jungler at this patch. Definitely a good start to a decent teamfight composition.
However, Yulwei, Rebel, and Marby are of course all wrong, because Slater is actually the best ADC in the split and playing on the Zeri. So, you know what? We can call this the proof. They say that the proof lies in the pudding. Well, the pudding is right here in Genius against SBTC. Not Pudding himself. Pudding is currently playing in the VCSP. Don't get worried about that. So, Zeri against Sivir. I'm interested to see how this matchup is going to pan out, because right now, Celebrity, sadly for him, has not yet won a game on Sivir. 2 games so far on the champion. But for Genius, they're going to be picking up the Yuumi as well, and this Poppy, which is a nice counter into the Wukong.
It definitely is. I mean, they just can match all this damage come up by the side of Wukong. The physical damage not really doing much against Poppy, who can stack up armor quite effectively. Also, like denying all those dashes that Wukong can use. I mean, he has his Warrior Trickster, he has his Nimbus Strike to really get into the backline. And Poppy with her steadfast presence can of course be detrimental against that, as Nautilus gets locked in, and that is a bot lane that Genius Esports has to respect. Zeri in general is a very, very strong pick on this patch, but she isn't really excelling in the laning phase at all. Sivir can just constantly shove her in, and if there happens to be a hook landing by the side of SBTC Esports, it could just be very detrimental, as the Zeri can be killed quite quickly. And we know what Yuumi can do without a Yuumi carrier. She is absolutely paper and would die in the aftermath easily as well. This, of course, just now are the bot lane pickups by the side of SBTC Esports, and what they're going for on their solo lane picks is remaining to be seen. What I kind of now want to see from them is, of course, getting some decent magic damage source for them, because so far they haven't gotten one.
And we're seeing the Jax being banned by Genius, which, if what we saw from ASE Esports draft is anything to go by, that means that they're looking at picking up the Gwen for themselves. And it would mean that there's a lot of scaling on the side of Genius Esports. We saw the Sivir Nautilus duo twice earlier on today for the side of GAM, with Style and B picking up in both of their games against ASE Esports, and it worked out very successfully for them as well.
So maybe just what the strong teams are playing right now. Sivir Nautilus. I mean, it's just a Sivir comp, right? You just group and press R and win. That's how it works. We know it from back in the day, with just having that easy way to go for it. As Gangplank gets taken off the table, I wonder what this is really preparing, because Gnar has been banned out as well. Usually I would assume that they ban Gangplank because they want to pick up something like the Gnar, but Gwen is still open for the top lane picks, and I think it would be a good pick for the side of SBTC Esports, as they, as I addressed earlier, need some magic damage in their competition, especially like some DPS component as well, be paired with Sivir and Wukong to really have some decent damage split overall, and I think Gwen would be one pick to do so, with the counters being banned out. I mean, they banned the Jax themselves, however Silas is hovered right now. That might be a bit early, but I wouldn't hate it either, as the final chapter is a very good ultimate to steal.
Final chapter, you can even steal away, you know, I want to say steal away the Keeper's Verdict, because I feel like sometimes Keeper's Verdict gets massively underrated for team fights, especially when you're fighting around objectives as well. However, for Genius Esports, they're looking towards this Rise. We've seen the Rise being popping up a fair amount in the VCS, and Blazes has been one of those players in the mid lane in the VCS who has been bringing Rise back into the fold. And
what is also kind of coming back is Poppy jungle, but these hovers kind of tell me that maybe it would actually be Poppy in the top lane, but this might just now change as they hover these tidbits that they are hovering right now. With Fiora being a potential blind pick for the side of Genius Esports, that would be a very bold thing to pick, but they do it anyway. Coded back into Fiora. I remember we had talked about coded Fiora earlier, right? I mean, it was like, I think it went 0-4 and it was actually doing decently but always losing or something. Then it was actually picking up the first win. And yeah, what's really the answer for the side of SE is the question here. I mean, they are trying to counter it a little bit with this Gwen picker, but I'm not sure if Gwen is like the best counter against the Fiora.
So I do remember that Fiora game. However, it wasn't for Kote, because Kote's got just one game on the Fiora where he had a KDA.
Then it was Emperor?
7.
Was it
Maybe
Emperor?
it was Emperor has played one game on Fiora, yes, and he had a 0.8 KDA, so it might very well have been that game. However, Emperor himself is going to be picking up the win. His 7th game on the champion. I don't know if I'm happy or sad, because I kind of wanted to see a Fiora counter. I don't know if a Fiora counter actually exists, so Emperor just taking, you know, the tried and tested meta top laner as a response.
Fiora counters do exist, but it's like some weird picks, like something which is not ironic, would be like something
Win.
like the Malphite. You just attack speed slow on top of her and just run her down in lane. But if you ever misstep once, then she just outscales you brutally and always wins the 1v1 in the long side lane. But like this. Gwen, I think, maybe just the approach is, we can't counter Fiora anyway, so we just pick what's good for us. And the Gwen, as I said before, would be one pick to really do it, as it really rounds out the damage profile in general. As we just now see the whole draft really unloading for the side of SE. I really like what they overall have gotten, but the lack of clear answer against the Fiora is kind of disheartening to see, I would say. And also, Yijin on this Poppy can have a great game impact, and if this Zeri Yumi bot lane gets to scale, I think Genius Esports has good chances here.
And I absolutely agree with you as well, because, as you mentioned, the Fiora doesn't have any answer, and I can't see the Fiora being answered in lane by the Gwen. I can't see it being answered in the later stages by the Gwen, just because, like, how do you even play that matchup? I've been playing a bit of Gwen top lane, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm some insanely talented player, because I'm the complete opposite, but I feel like most of your trading power comes from your Q, and, well, one riposte, and you lose all of that trading power, and then Fiora just claps you for the next 5-6 seconds.
Yeah, very poor matchup for the side of the Gwen in that regard, but I mean, maybe it's just something that Emperor could play a bit better. Gotta say so, I mean, even if SE get outscaled here, I think they could very well, of course, just handle the early game very well and make quick work out of Genius Esports in the first 25 minutes, I would say, similarly to what GAM did in the second game, especially with the double global competition against ASE Esports earlier. But yeah, we will wait and see how it really plays out. I'm really looking forward to see what Celebrity can do on the Sivir as we load onto the Rift.
Well, on to the Rift we go, our first game of the second series of the day. And look at that, our junglers already duking out. Come on, guys, it's level 1. Chill out, DNK. You might want to go back to base and get a bit of health back there.
bit of health back for the side of DNK. I just now realized I confused him a lot with Penguin in this draft segment for whatever reason. I just kind of remember the old SBTC team secret switcheroos.
Yeah.
Either way of that, it is kind of confusing. Put some leeway onto my head, please. And regardless of that, DNK just now going back to base. Not really anything too special happening level 1, of course, not really any takedowns being happening. Or someone blowing a Thunder Spell. As we see Pallet already being very down on this bot lane, looking for maybe for an early hook onto the bot lane of Genius Esports. And this could actually work out, or at least something that the Genius Esports bot lane has to respect, as you cannot really fight level 1 all-ins with Yumi.
No. And I want to talk a little bit more about what we can expect to see in this early game, because for me, when I'm looking at the side of Genius Esports, I feel like Blazes and Slater just want to be scaling. I'm not expecting much aggression, but I am expecting Yijin just to be camping in this top lane, as Emperor doing a good job in level 1 to get Fiora nice.
Coated. Oh, Coated took a lot of damage, also got ignited already. Emperor with very slight health bar advantage, but now that Ignite is down, the all-in kind of got survived by the side of Coated. I'm kind of worried for Emperor now, as that level 1 without the Ignite didn't look quite too nicely for him, and relying on the Ignite is not something he can permanently do, as he hits level 2 a bit earlier. And yeah, Coated takes quite some damage. But right now I think Coated will be fine.
I was kind of surprised that Coated went for it when Emperor had level 2. I thought, or maybe level 2, you just want to be a little bit more careful now that the Q is available for the Gwen.
It's very tricky right now because both are super low, and Coated could actually fall to the snip damage, but with him having riposte right now, it just all depends so much on the riposte timing, if it happens to be a good trade for him. And Emperor, having, despite burning the Ignite, has a good experience advantage, and the Wave also not really playing against him. That's something that is very likely to be noted here, as Yijin is around, and Emperor now in a tough position. I think this Wave could be like at least like soft frozen for the side of Coated, and Emperor has to respect the gank right now.
Yeah, and Yijin's just going to come straight in on, oh, the Hallowed Mist does not stop the heroic charge. However, engaged on is Blazes, he will be able to survive, but was forced to burn his flash. And I am really sorry to all of our viewers that we're talking only about this top lane, but for me, I've been playing a lot of top lane recently because I'm trying to kind of, expand my champions, learn how to play different roles. And my 2 best top laners are Fiora and Gwen. So I'm really enjoying kind of looking at this matchup and working out how it should all be panning out. However, the riposte does come through, and it will mean that Coated will just be safe towards this potential DNK gank that was being eyed up by the SBTC jungle.
Yeah, this time it works like that. Also, kind of something that doesn't really help. This is that, of course, I'm also top lane main, and the Observer just happened to pan around a lot of forces top lane matchup, which is so volatile in both directions. Carry against carry top laner, both melee. If one gets ahead, they usually just stay ahead and absolutely crush this matchup. So very exciting to see what's really happening there. And also both junglers showing some attention to that. As we have also seen Pallet going for his first early roam. You can't really do it on the Yumi. So Pallet abusing that he can just leave Celebrity alone for a bit, him just being a wave shower, and Wise using his flash, but Coated just now might lose his life.
The riposte comes through, but it does not riposte anything, and Coated, well, in a 1v2, there's nothing he's going to do, and the kill is given over to Emperor.
And I love this micro mechanic from DNK, where he was flashing over the riposte to really be sure his damage is really sticking to the target, as Coated had no way out. He's playing TP Ghost Fiora, which is very interesting to see, but something that I don't hate in general, as we see now how the play really happened. Coated, trying to push this wave in, fighting against Emperor, and here DNK goes in. Riposte got flashed, DNK is in, and most importantly, the kill and the first blood bonus going over to Emperor, not going to DNK. DNK would want to translate his lead to the side lanes at some point anyway. Might just start right off the bat at the 5-minute mark, where Gwen takes the kill, gets as much gold as possible, and can really decide the matchup on her own later on.
So my question to you on that is that actually a good thing? Because I feel like even with that first kill, I feel like Emperor is still going to struggle into Coated and will still need a lot of help and a lot of assistance from a DNK, and we're already seeing Coated teleporting back into this top lane and returning to where he left off in this matchup against Emperor.
It's a bit tricky, because I think in the early game it's fine for the Wukong to take the kills, as he can then, of course, impact the other lanes with it as well. But I think in general, if it's a struggling matchup, it should never be wrong to really give the laner the kill, as he could do a lot with it. But right now, as you mentioned, Fiora can still deal a good amount of damage against Emperor. If that gank, however, happens again, Emperor gets another kill, I don't think there's much hope left for the side of Coated, as DNK is already making his next move, going for this Drake. Yijin going for some lane gang against Emperor in the top lane. And if that doesn't work out, I think Yijin might just have a problem. Emperor now with the needlework.
He used the needlework and then sees a Yijin, who is only level 4, is the Poppy right now. So a bit under level, gets level 5 from some of the lane minions. But now Emperor has no ult available. Yijin could stick around if he wanted to, but keep your eyes on Dia1, who is making his way up towards the top lane.
And Emperor tries to buy time before he gets dove and killed, but he gets killed too quickly. Dia1 is maybe a little bit late with the stolen Realm Orb, tries to fight it in the 1v2, but can't really do too much. And yeah, it was very obvious that he will get dove there, I think. Emperor really disrespecting that, or GAM Esports in general disrespecting that with playing it out in this way. Or, you know, I'm bullshitting, it's actually ASE Esports. So I was kind of getting trolled by the font looking so similar at the top. And yeah, where do I start? I mean, it's just Emperor not respecting the dive too much. They were kind of trading some top lane CS and XP against getting the Drake, which is kind of decent for SE in general, but I think that was something that's very obvious to come. The correct play would be for Emperor to just back off and then just them not really trying to fistfight this 2v2. If Emperor actually manages to survive for long enough, then of course Dia1 can clean up some kills, but that was just not the case. Emperor died within like 2 seconds, and yeah, the Realm Up isn't even that fast, so yeah. Not the ideal play coming out by the side of SBTC.
And I can also make a little color caster point here as well. Coated picking up the Sheen as a first item instead of going for the Iron Spike Whip. So not looking towards a Gore Drinker or Stride Breaker first item, instead looking towards the Divine Sunrow, which I feel like this Sheen is going to give him a lot more trading power in the early stages of the game.
Definitely does so. I mean, all these spell red pocs really working out in the skirmishes. And also, the lunge, the Q from Fiora, is applying the Sheen. That's definitely something that's making it pretty easy. Just gives up so much war damage for the side of the Q itself. So, something the Fiora really likes. I mean, Iron Spike Whip is something where you also have to use the active. That is something that can, of course, be something that's detrimental in these smaller skirmishes. And you can have multiple Sheen pocs within a small trade pattern. So, something the Fiora definitely likes as SE is making the next move.
Yijin being a little bit too aggressive. However, Coated is going to be making his way down. A 2v2. Blazes and Dia1 also showing up as well. But Coated in a 1v2. Yijin unable to help. And Coated is forced away from the Rift Herald as Emperor does burn the Ignite onto the Fiora. The mid lane is going to duke it out. The bottom laners are also in a 2v2 right now. Fights across the map. Slater will fall. And there is nothing that BOB can do as a lone Yuumi and Celebrity picks up a double kill. And I guess, Quincy, that kind of answers the question that we were bringing up in the pregame of, is Celebrity a better answer than Slater? And I guess Yulwei, Rebel, and Marby were correct.
Yeah, kind of exposing you on the spot right here as we see. Why are you fighting as Zeri Yuumi level 6 against Celebrity and Palette on this Sylvanautis comp? How can you even win this? I mean, this is just way too early. You're not even getting a lead from anywhere. If you just walk into the hook, what did you expect to happen? Did you expect to win this? I don't quite get it. I mean, to be fair, they have like a combat summoner advantage as a Yuumi just wants 2 combat summoners, but still, just so much DC. Slater has to do all the work by his own at the start, as the final chapter is only there for the snare. But Celebrity can just keep dishing in boomerangs into your face, and ultimately, yeah, Celebrity comes out on top. Doesn't even need to use Flash, and neither does Palette.
It's, I don't know, it's weird because I've been a bit harsh on BOB. I don't think he's been a good support. I think he's probably been maybe the worst support in the league. So I was thinking, you know what, he's on Yuumi. Not much can go wrong here. However, he's off the Zeri as well when that depth charge comes through. So Slater doesn't get any heals or anything during the trade either. I don't know if that's a misplay. I think it might have just been both of them being a little bit silly to go for that 2v2 as you mentioned.
I just also see BOB is still not 6 yet, so there wasn't even the final chapter to talk about. So yeah, good luck fighting that one. I mean, with final chapter, maybe there's a chance that at least Celebrity has to like flash or something, but like this, yeah, not really something he could do. Meanwhile, on the top side, what we happened that didn't really address so far is, of course, the Rift Herald going down with Emperor kind of tanking it, while DNK and Dia1 were zoning away Blazes. This is also a very tricky mid lane matchup, by the way, as did we miss an off-screen solo kill? Or why are they showing it in the picture? Oh, it was just Dia1 getting poked out. Either way, Y is surprisingly good against Silas, but once Silas is actually in your face, he can just have insane kill pusher on you. But usually Y is kind of makes up for it with all the CC from the Rune Prison and the Everforce he usually goes. So in these small skirmishes, the Y is actually kind of favored. But with DNK helping out his body in DR1, it was something that ASE Esports was very comfortable to fight.
Oh, Yijin and Blazes, they get spotted out, but here come SBTC. Blazes flashes over the wall, and now the Realm Warp is going to take him out to safety. Keeper's verdict will in the end not get used, so we'll go back onto its shorter cooldown. DNK over the wall, onto Yijin Cyclone. The Abduct so close to landing. Good dredge line on it, 2 Blazes, but will get kept very healthy by the Zoomies from BOB.
Yeah, I think both teams kind of happy that nobody was really going down there, and the fight kind of getting called off by both sides. As DNK landing a nice cyclone onto Yijin, who landed a very good flash to deny another hook bomb side of Palette, as we see another top lane 1v1, and Emperor should win this, I think, right here. Oh, last needlework not connecting. And trading Ignite for Ghost is kind of an even trade, I would almost say, as no team is also going for this side of this Mountain Dragon.
I'm kind of confused how Emperor won the trade. You know, we've been talking about how Fiora's is counter into the Gwen. Now, I know Emperor's a very good top laner, arguably the best top laner in the VCS, but still, that is an impressive feat for Emperor to achieve nonetheless.
It is, and I'm really surprised that ASE is really dropping this Mountain Wake. I think they are kind of on the clock considering the competition they're really going for. As Coded might just get dove on the top side. DNK is around, he knows that he isn't spotted to the sweeper.
Well, 3-man dive onto Coated. There's no way out of this. He tries to riposte. Oh, poor Coated. I mean, that's like turning up to a zombie invasion with a paperclip.
And you can't repost just a bonk to the face from Wukong. I mean, literally you can. I mean, you can repost the crushing blow, but not all these auto attacks being in the follow-up. And if you're at 100 HP, the dive is pretty inevitable. So Kodak going down there, also using some part of the wave. Turreting is going down for the side of ASE, and they are propelling in the gold lead. Sacrifice this Drake for this top lane dive, and this is maybe also why they actually end up not caring about the Drake all too much, as they just now swing back this top lane matchup a little bit. I think theoretically they're a little bit on the clock, but I want to, of course, differentiate a little bit. If they are propelling this game far enough ahead as they are currently doing, it will probably be fine by them, as also they just have their own pseudo hyper carry with the Sivir being around, and before Zeri really has 3 items, hits 4 items, I don't think the Zeri Yumi will be too much of a problem for them.
And at the rate that this game is going, I don't think the Zeri will be getting to 4 items. Maybe 3 items is a possibility, as Coated being engaged on by 3 players. He wants to get on top of Tier 1, but here comes Celebrity as well. Celebrity will get the kill onto Coated, and it is going to be 2 kills going the way of SBTC.
And Coated did just get dove top lane to just respawn, then walk bot lane, go for a team fight, and just die again, right? I mean, this is just ultimately what you as a Fiora player to some extent might know. Team fighting, especially early on, isn't really her shtick, and yeah, Coated kind of got a bit taste of that, and yeah, he's not really in a position to teamfight this early on. As off-screen they killed Tier 1, I don't know where that happened. I think it was bot lane Tier 1 trying to hop onto Zeri and just trying to kill her while Yumi is on top of her. Not that easy when she has final chapter. I hope we see a replay.
I love how your German came out when you were like not really her shtick, and you know, you've got the proper thick German accent on with that as well.
The thing is, shtick isn't really a German word. It's just an English word that's pronounced as it sounds German. Either way, replay of that
but
fight.
It's still like your German accent coming out.
Shtick with an SCH instead of SH. Yeah, shtick.
Yeah.
Either way, this is how Coated tries to teamfight on Fiora, then realizes he's Fiora, and also realizes he's 1v4, something that an early game Fiora without many kills can't really do.
Did you see the interaction with the Keeper's Verdict in the dredge line?
Yes, it looks kind of awkward, right?
It's calculated by Palette, that's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
You know how you were saying in picks and bans, how like didn't Coated have that Fiora game where he went like 0-4, but he was still like no one could answer him in the side lane?
Yes.
Was that you coming from the future talking about this game? We'll find out. Blaze is getting taken down very low and is just going to get absolutely clapped by DNK as teleports coming in from SBTC and forces Slater and Yijin out of the river.
I think it wasn't me from the future, as we just now see the replay of how Tier 1 died. I mean, yeah, he just, in quotation marks, face-checked Zeri, but it was just Zeri just spark surging over the wall, final chapter honor, and then, yeah, just all the damage coming out. Code and Emperor still have a go. Meanwhile, the Rift Hold number 2 is being taken. And it wasn't me coming from the future with the 0-4 game, as Coated has already 1 kill on his marks and won't be unstoppable in sight in either way, as I think SE, we aren't really seeing it just yet, but slowly but surely are running away with this game. 4K gold at 60 minutes right now, and they just always have answers what GAM Esports is on the bigger picture trying to do to them.
for Coated. He really wanted to get that cannon, but I didn't think Emperor was going to let him. I thought he was going to bully. However, Yijin is here. Can Coated actually make this play work? He doesn't have the Grand Challenge available.
No.
I don't think that dive would ever work out for Genius, and this has allowed Palette some time to make his way down. Dredge line lands. The riposte is too late. The depth charge will come through, but the keeper's verdict just kicks Emperor away. Now there's a teleport coming through from Blazes. They really want to get Palette. Emperor will return. Slater is here as well. Palette flashing over the wall. Palette is going to survive this realm war from Blazes. He really wants to get this Nautilus. And Palette will finally die. Celebrity showing up as well. But Blazes will be able to make his way out to safety, and after all of that, Emperor somehow survives the boomerang blade. So close, but the snip just about catches onto Blazes' champion model, and it becomes a 1-for-1 overall.
And Celebrity is a very good sniper with that boomerang. I almost wanted him to flash over this wall to just weave in another auto attack to just get another kill. And the real hero of this play is Palette, in my opinion, because he was really getting locked onto Coded. Then Yijin with a clutch keeper's verdict to knock Emperor away and buying sometimes so Coded doesn't just die. And he was almost dying solo to what Nautilus really has on the table. With him not having an ignite, it was just ultimately not enough. And Emperor goes to try maybe chase a losing play, but here we see Palette. Yeah, he spams every button on Nautilus, but he's just a support Nautilus, can't really kill Coded. Yijin, yeah, knocking away Emperor. Here getting the chase on towards Palette, who can at least stopwatch. Emperor now gets into the fray, uses his Hallowed Mist to buy some time, and then uses the Needlework brilliantly to almost snipe down Yijin, who just survives because he's too tanky. And now Celebrity, yeah, kind of trying to make the most out of this play, getting a good snipe, chunking both with both sides of the boomerang. That's a very, very hot pizza coming their way. And it ultimately leads to at least another kill for SPTC. And that play was, in the first place, not only a good play for GAM Esports, but SPTC with their mechanical prowess, with them being very clutch and helping each other out with buying time with stopwatches, etc. Just made it a 1-for-1.
They were ordering pizzas that their stomach just couldn't handle. Might be one way to phrase that one. There were a lot of pizzas being thrown out by Celebrity. Honestly, probably would be like the one skin I'd be able to really want if I could like exist in the League of Legends world, because, well, you get lots of pizzas. Dredge line comes through from Palette, but here comes Yijin and BOB. Well, that's just Coated. He's dead. And now Genius are on the back foot. The abduct almost connects onto Yijin, but Yijin able to escape. So it's just a one kill going over to the side of SPTC. Blazes died as well somewhere, and we're going to get a replay of that here.
I think he thought he could dive Gwen, and Gwen, not even a dive.
You can't dive Gwen.
Yeah, Empire's just snip, and Blazes dies. It just
snip, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's close to 2 items, but he's not quite yet. 1 item, but that's enough to really get going. If he hits the 2 damage cones, it's just such an insane damage load, especially with Needlework hitting as well. And Deer 1 might be in trouble, but he's still silent. He is mobile.
Deer 1 on the run. Prowling projectile will get the slow. Here comes Coated. They drop an exhaust as well. They really want to kill Deer 1. Deer 1 flashes. Oh, but Slater's here as well. Poor Deer 1. That was just unfortunate. He thought it was a 1v2, then it became a 1v3, and then it became a 1v4.
And that's kind of a wasted flash, and you don't really want to give kills to the Zeri. I think giving it to Coded's Fiora is more acceptable in this situation. But sure, I think the other one tried to style a little bit, tried to get out of a sticky situation. And I think if there's one less player by the side of GAM Esports, this actually maybe works out. But like this, it's just him buying some time for his bot lane. I mean, buying some time is what I would call it if I would be the one dying there as a split pushing top laner. But actually just him being a bit overextended while his team goes for the Swift tail play the bot side, getting 1 turret on their own regard. And yeah, it's just a gold lead that keeps creeping in and keeps getting bigger without us seeing many flashy plays. But right now, ASE is 7k gold up, got a second dragon. So it's looking good for them. And of course, the Zeri will get 3 items, but if the Silver has 4 items by that point, it's fine.
Coated is not winning that. Emperor gets the kill. Blazes shows up. He's throwing out the Realm Orb, looking for the kill. The Everfrost lands, overload, auto, and it is a shutdown for Blazes.
Yeah, very juicy shutdown. Use his TP for that play to really get the maximum out of it and can just run him down with the Spell Flux really proccing. And this is of course 900 gold in the pockets of Blazes. He can maybe try to carry this game later on as he is on the 2 item rise right now. But it's definitely still looking good by the side of SE. As we just now saw that Emperor was getting this kill on towards Coated in the 1v2. And I mean, we addressed this top damage up over and over again, right? In the early game where it was still close. Right now, this Gwen has like twice the presence the Fiora has, and it's absolutely brutal to fight this as GAM Esports. As long as SBTC can force fights, it's unplayable for them basically, because Gwen, even on even grounds, would be as strong as the Fiora, if not stronger. And with her being so far ahead, it's a done deal.
11 kills to 5, a 7k goal lead for the side of SBTC. What we expected of them coming into this series, having lost their last 2 series against Team Secret and at GAM, but looking to get back onto winning ways. For Genius Esports, their split has been going from average or mediocre to bad, having lost their last 3 series. But critically for Genius Esports, they picked up a loss against ASE Esports, which is going to be very big coming into the fight for relegation, or the battle for the bottom spot in the split. And this weekend is very difficult for Genius Esports as well, because they've got a series against SBTC. Then they actually, sorry, no, it's not very difficult for them. It's difficult for ASE Esports. Genius have a series against Team Wales on Sunday, which is going to be interesting to see, because they beat Team Wales last time. They actually got a 2-0 against Team Wales, and they'll be looking to repeat that. And if they can, that will be helping them massively out in the split.
And would also massively help that Olive wouldn't just get off-screen solo killed by the side of Emper. Either way of that, I think every weekend is a difficult weekend for the side of GAM Esports right now, as they look to be like on form alone to be the worst team of the league, as ASE Esports is definitely making some improvements, and GAM Esports, you said it, they had an okay start and now kind of look bad, as they have 2 wins. I don't quite remember against whom, but it was certainly not ASE Esports, as they took them down. And that is kind of
they got a win against Team Wales, and I think
Wales.
they beat ASE Esports the first time they played.
They didn't. They only played one
not?
series. I
Sorry,
remember checking earlier.
Saigon Buffalo.
They actually bet SGB, yeah, kind of decent. Either way, we've seen just now how Emper, yeah, he's 2 levels ahead of this Fiora. So that's the thing with Fiora, but she isn't really a good team fighter because she's a duelist. But now she's so far behind that she cannot even duel either. So she kind of has to hope that she gets a mechanical outplay or punish a mistake by the side of the enemy team. Here we see how he's really trying to reach for it. Because that champion doesn't really have any sort of CC aside from the riposte situationally. So Fiora right now kind of useless, has to farm herself up a storm and otherwise find some impact, maybe even in the 1v0 push. And this Fiora pick right now basically does absolutely nothing.
Is why I really don't like going teleport ghost on Fiora, because I feel like it's so important to be able to hit the vitals that having that flash available sometimes can be all the difference between dying, as Kota did against Emper, or being able to get the kill.
Exactly that. As we see Coated trying over and over again to really work against Emperor, and with the levels creeping in, it will get a bit better for him, as he's just now at least like level 13, and yeah, there's like some hope some light at the end of the tunnel for him, as there's only 18 levels in the game, and Emperor just now hit the 16th one, and at some point he will eventually catch up, as catch-up experience would also come into play. And in general for GAM Esports, right, I mean, objective bounties are on the table right now for them as well. They, however, likely in about 200 seconds will have to play against an Ocean Soul, or play to really fight that SBTC Esports would not get an Ocean Soul, and this will be very hard. As we keep saying it, they are not a good 5v5 team compositional wise, and I say that, Blazes just gets caught.
They're not a good 1v5 team composition either. Not much Blazers can do there. 2 and 4. He does have 3 items, so it's starting to become a bit of a strong rise, but still needs a little bit more time, and SBTC are going to be eyeing up an Ocean Soul in 3 minutes time, which is going to be very difficult for Genius to be able to beat, even with scaling on their side. Slater with a Spark Surge over the wall will be able to survive. Yujin flashing away, and somehow Genius Esports get away without gifting over any more kills, as Coated died once again.
Yeah.
Oh, Coated, when are you going to stop trying to 1v1 Emperor?
I think, ironically, he should really stop. I think at one point it's just that he should just try it over and over again until he really hits the mark and just repost the correct ability.
At some point,
he's
got to get the kill, right?
Exactly. I've seen enough Fioras. It actually works at some item breakpoint, but right now apparently not the case, as SBT Esports just won on both sides of the map, right? They were winning in the solo kill in the bot lane. Slater needed to attack the wolves to really get the shield ball Lysel in to not die to the ignite coming out by the side of Pallad, and that ultimately meant Baron for side of SE, as they couldn't really fight with Elf by right, and here they keep fighting again. Just chill for a minute.
No, it's as he said, Quincy, you keep fighting until you get the kill. Coated He finally gets a kill us onto DK. DK1 goes gold, and Genius are going to be able to find a kill. Boomerang Blade, and it's a double kill going over to Celebrity. Slater on the run. BOB can't get back on top of the Rise because the phase rush is too much movement speed. Slater, though, able to get a shutdown on it to Enpa. But it is a quadra kill for Celebrity. I think Genius will be fairly happy with that. Even if they do get ace, they get 3 kills and they do get some shutdowns as well.
Yeah, I guess it's some shutdowns, but a quadra kill silently picked up by the side of Celebrity, who can really take over this game right now. I mean, it's just really Vase as a strong point as Silver right now, really getting gelled on with this Baron buff. He's not really being enchanted by his team, but he doesn't really need to be, as Celebrity is also playing these fights mechanically to a lot of perfection, as he's hitting all these boomerang blades really in and doing some very good offensive kiting. So it's just Genius Esports also chasing a lost play, right? The Baron was gone. You need to accept that the Baron is gone and don't just keep fighting into it. Yes, they got a good shot on as Enpa was walking too closely to the side of Slater, who managed to pick up at least some shot on gold in his regard. But this really shouldn't have happened, and Genius Esports just getting almost too much despite playing the way they are playing right now. And now at least one more million for his Baron, and I wonder how much ASE can press. The Baron will eventually translate to this Ocean Drake fight, and this could be disaster for GE.
And Genius Esports is no longer Genius Esports, it's Grief Esports, but not Grief in a bad way. They just haven't got to the final stage of acceptance. They're still in denial right now. And well, right now, Genius Esports are denied from the river. It's a quadra kill for Celebrity. But Slater is well inside of his space, and there is going to be no pentakill for Celebrity, just 2 quadra kills in this game for him.
And now I know why they are called Genius Esports, and it also happens to be something with denial. They just denied the Ocean Soul by losing the game right there, and corner kill coming up by Celebrity. And this will be the end of it. Baron buff still on him, nobody that's in wave lead, it's just a Zeri, and Slater can just watch as Celebrity mows him down. At the end of the day, I mean, we know it, right? He is a better AD carry.
Quincy, that is absolutely brilliant. Oh my god. SBTC take game 1 over Grief Esports. And well, maybe they'll move on to the second stage of Grief in their second game. What is it that comes after denial? Is it like anger or something? Because there's 7 stages, anger. Right?
Yeah, that's 7 stages. I don't have them on the top of my head, sadly. But denial is one of them, grief is one of them. There's anger. There's acceptance, I think, in the later ones, probably. But yeah, we have something to look up in the break that's about to come up.
Exactly. I'm going to be searching that one up right now. We're going to be sending you all to a break. I've got to get a banana for Hankei. And yeah, we'll be back in a little bit for game 2 of the series.
Welcome back to the VCS English, and what the hell you're eating, Milky? What are you eating?
Well, so Pancake told me to eat a banana, but there weren't any bananas left. So I decided to get a pakora because it's very nice. It kind of rhymes with banana, and it's got potatoes in it. And potatoes are yellow. So I thought, hey,
Close
it's
enough.
practically a banana. Yeah. But
It's
anyway. Sorry. Go on, Quincy.
It's probably the best replacement you had available to you right now, as we, just now look for the best replacements within the draft of Genius Esports against SPTC for Game 2. So let's wait and see what they got in store, right?
Absolutely. And Genius Esports, they left a lot to be desired, is one of my phrases that I like to use when a team was struggling, because nothing really looked positive for them. They had what was arguably a winning matchup in the top lane with the Fiora against the Gwen. They couldn't do anything there, and, well, SPTC just won everywhere else on the map.
That's kind of what happened, right? It was just an early game comp doing its job for a set of SPTC is what I would mostly say. I mean, like, the matchups were kind of fine for a set of Genius Esports in lane alone, but except for maybe bot lane, where just the Zeri Yumi game got picked apart by the side of Palettes and Nautilus, of course, and the star AD carry Celebrity kind of shining over the side of Slater, and Slater not really being in the position to do much with his Yumi attachment, not hitting level 6 yet, but still being within the all-in. And the Silas from Tier 1 kind of struggling to find impact in the early game, but that's what we expect against the Wise. And maybe like just some greed, where they, I remember this one top lane dive which Emperor just refused to respect. But overall, like 80 to 90% clean game from SPTC as we head over to the draft number 2.
Draft number 2. Let's go, and I don't know what rhymes with 2. Anyway, Talia getting batted away from the side of SPTC. Oh, by you. See, this is why you're better at rapping than me, Quincy. Draven taken away. Still some risk. Actually, we've seen a lot of Draven bans recently, and I don't know if you're better at rapping than me, to be honest. Maybe we'll have a wrap-off. Honestly, worst wrap-off. That's how we go into the VCS playoffs later this split.
I mean, I'm not even first language. I should be worse at rapping than you are, at least in English. Either way, maybe my German rapping is better than your English rapping. That could be the case, but that's very hard to judge between each other. Either way, SPT Esports in the second game, just now also going for the Zeri blue side first pick. If I recall correctly, the same thing happened with Genius Esports last game. And now maybe Celebrity showing Slater how Zeri is played, regardless if Silver gets counterpicked into it or not, because Slater has the same chances.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Sivir is open and Genius don't want it. It's such a strong pick. However, that Aphelios wasn't locked in. I thought it was. Instead, they're going to opt for this Wukong for Yijin once again, and we'll see whether that does get paired with a Sivir.
Might just be the case as Wukong gets locked in. Potential top jungle flex, I mentioned it earlier, it is something that you can still pick in both positions. Mostly pick jungle because it's just better in jungle, and you only pick a top lane if the matchup is really good and you just find another decent jungler you really want to see. And they just lock in the Aoi instead, so maybe the Sivir priority kind of falling out of favor for the side of GAM Esports, and them just looking to have good pick potential against the Zeri. I mean, of course, Spirit Potion to Charm could be one way to have it, or just Spirit Potion to Everforce to really slow down the Zeri, who can otherwise zoom around the map. And DNK going for different...
Yasuo! Yasuo!
You have to. If you log in Diana so quickly and Yasuo's open, you pick Yasuo, man. Look,
no!
Come on! Now I'm angry. Diana, Yoda's just... It's just a parody, but it's just like replacing the banana with whatever that other thing was called.
Wait. Yone top, Yasuo mid. It's still possible. It is still possible.
But... really, they're outpicking that. I would love it too, because Diana, Yone, Yasuo is an even insane combo combo, but I'm not seeing Emperor going for the Yone top lane here.
I believe it. I want to believe. I know Dia1 has played a couple of Yone games already this split to great success, but I want to believe in the Yasuo. Originally, when I saw the Zeri and I didn't see the Sivir getting picked up, I was holding on for a Dia1 AP Zeri mid and then the Sivir just to get locked anyway for celebrity, but it doesn't look like that is happening. Not yet, anyway. Anything's possible in picks and bans, apart from picking champions that have already been banned. But aside from that, the floor is open. Unless you're GAM and Hankei, then you're never going to pick Elise. But anyway, enough about me memeing Hankei. Blazes has locked in this Gwen, and all of a sudden we can't see any more bans. So, should we just predict what the bans are?
We need to be very quickly, I think, because they probably are like in ban number 3. They probably banned support champion pool. I think that's like a Nautilus ban. It actually isn't. I'm just bad. Sivir? They just put the Sivir. I mean, yeah, makes sense because Sivir hasn't even been locked in yet. I mean, if it would be like Sivir R3, I think could see the Nautilus ban, as it would just maybe mean that, yeah, Sivir would be without her engaged support buddy. Either way of that, there's Rakan being taken away, as well as a Jax for the, of course, potential Jax top lane counter pick. Actually, against Gwen top lane, I think Yone top wouldn't even be that bad, right? I mean, Gwen very auto attack heavy, very squishy early on. Yone could win those all-ins, and Yone is picked top lane against something like a Kayle, for example. Gwen is to some extent similar to that, I would say. So I think it wouldn't even be too terrible, but Emperor probably won't pick it, let's be honest. As GAM Esports bans away top laners, we can assume that much. Then they just go for the Yuumi right now, which would still be good for the Wukong, and of course just denying Zeri Yuumi from the other side, right? You don't want Zeri Yuumi to be given over when you can't punish the lane.
Groomy is what I'm going to call it when you put a Yuumi on top of a Gwen. I think it's a very good thing. We'll see whether it happens. It probably won't happen. Lulu is fine. I don't mind this Lulu pick. It's cool. But pick the Yasuo. SBTC, I will forever love you guys. I might even start supporting you already. Just picking the Yasuo for me.
I would love it, but the combo would kind of been suboptimal, right? You really wouldn't have a front line right now, and they just kind of... But, I mean, if you pick all into Gwen, you might as well pick Yone into Gwen. Come on, that's not really an option anyway as well. And I don't really love the Yone pick. Should have picked Yasuo earlier, right? That would have been the solution. So, either way, just go for the all into Gwen, a bit of a self-counter. Got a Thazo at around level 6, especially with Spellbook on, depending on if that happens or not with Ignite. You can just do double Forge God, the whole Brittle combo onto a Gwen, and just kill her in an all-in. And still, you just don't pick it for the lane phase, you just pick it for the team fights to have like solid engage, solid frontline, and this late game insurance policy with this Living Forge passive to upgrade the items. As Twitch gets the last pick, so the Tom and Jerry bot lane against the Zeri bot lane, one of the soft counters that Zeri also really still has, and I wonder if Slater can show up with it.
I still hate the fact that we're calling it a Tom and Jerry, because Jerry's a mouse and Twitch is a rat, and I know I'm being pedantic, but I don't care. This top lane matchup is, I feel like, a little bit dead. Like, it's just going to be slow, so I guess I'm kind of looking towards this bottom side, like, hoping to see Yijin and DNK with just lots of aggressive plays.
Yeah, could be happening. I mean, it's just, in general, I would say good lane matchup for a lot of Genius Esports across the board. But you have Twitch Yumi against the Zevi lane. You have Gwen into On because ASE was politely enough to really self-contradict themselves there. And I think Ari against Yone seems like a skill matchup to me. Could actually be Yone favorite, I would say, as Yone can definitely do some funny stuff with the wave. And Ari should maybe struggle to even clear the wave in one go. Yonen doesn't have a windfall like his brother does, but he's still very, very threatening in these all-ins as an Ari would be herself. Gotta tell you, though, overall, I think GS Esports this time with a very decent draft. I mean, late night matches look good and also scaling overall. With this Gwen in the side lane, I don't see anyone really contesting that as maybe DR1 on the Yone would be. But if he does that, then you won't have Diana Yone in the team fights. So I think GS Esports should be very happy right now.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm just kind of excited to see how these two teams match up into each other because there's a big 5v5 combo for the side of SBTC, but outside of that combo, this Twitch Yumi, I feel, could be really scary. And as you mentioned, Gwen in the side lane, once she gets up to a few items, once she picks up, the death cap is going to be very, very scary to deal with. So, yeah, let's see how things pan out. Either way, SBTC won the opening game of the series, and they're going to be looking to take a 2-0 and get back to winning ways after having picked up recent losses to GAM and Team Secret. Going back to our junglers though, Quincy, where do you want to be seeing DNK and Yijin looking in the early stages of this game?
I think Yijin could do a very good job of really preparing his bot lane ahead as a Twitch Yumi lane. While they soft counter the Zevi lane, if Zevi also gets to scale freely, she can also be very, very tanky and very unkillable for the side of something like a Twitch later on. We saw that when Artemis, I think, played against Eddie's Zevi. That's something that happened to be a problem there. And despite, of course, the top lane matchup looking juicy, it's still an on, right? It's a somewhat mobile tank. You can't really gank it easily, especially with something like a Wuku who doesn't really do much in the early game. But even less early game is done by the side of something like a Diana for the side of DNK as we load into the Rift. And Diana is one of those champions that's like known for power farming, just to farm until level 6 and then work out with some ganks, as she doesn't really have any CC and surprisingly little damage early on, can only really gank when there's like a huge overextending happening by the side of GS Esports.
So both junglers are going to be starting on their respective red buffs. And Celebrity and Palette not even going to leash DNK. How rude is that? Incredibly rude. Yes,
incredibly rude, but they have a plan. They think they want to fight something at this very early level, as Yumi's still very weak at this point. And Slater, was he taking the bait? I think this is very bad for Slater.
Here we go! Oh my god, a cleanse and an exhaust. Slater really wants this kill. Not going to be able to find it though. In the end, both ADCs getting chunked out very low. I love the aggression coming through from Slater and BOB there.
I also love it, and I was very surprised that they could actually win this. I mean, if this would have gone longer, I think Slater and BOB would even get the kill there. Celebrity got down very, very low. Gotta say, though, Summoner spell advantage by the side of the SBTC bot lane, and the HP advantage, while it is there, it's not something really to write home about, I would say, as Yumi right now. Yumi is surprisingly bad against Lulu, as Lulu can pull him off the Yumi while she's trying to reattach, so she really needs to be careful in this matchup. But sustain-wise, I think the GS Esports bot lane should be more than fine here.
There's a lot of healing that can come through from BOB's Zoomies, and that being said, Celebrity should be able to survive a lot of the poke from Slater and BOB, courtesy of the shield that Lulu does bring, although that time around Palette doesn't want to shield Celebrity.
As you say it. And I spoke about all-ins. Not a good matchup, but on wins all-ins.
All hail the Emperor, who picks up first blood. Palette has been caught out, forced to flash over the wall. DNK is here hovering around, but Slater and BOB really getting the better of this 2v2 matchup.
That's the case, and also in this top lane matchup, it just seems to be an Emperor-sided matchup, not just a Gwen-sided matchup, as we just see Blazes also against 3 members.
Well, Blazes is kind of screwed there. There's not much he can do against 3 members, as we're going to see how Coated died here.
Just took a brittle proc to the face, which is a lot of damage, of course, and he also is in the very huge minion wave. But if he attacks Emperor here, the minions will get very, very angry at him.
Oh, that flash!
Not even needed. Yeah, very good flash. Also getting the searing charge into the wall and Gwen himself. So It's just also the knock-up coming out and all this raw damage coming up by Emperor. Yeah, the minion didn't really even play to effect there, but this just means that Cold has to go hard or go home, and ultimately lost it to the Ornn. And mid lane was also a disaster, right? I spoke about DNK on this Diana not really being an early ganker. If we get such a free invite by the side of Blazes, yeah, just take the kill and accelerate Diana against Wukong. Also something you really don't want to have, and ASE with a brilliant early game start already.
Yep, 2 kills to 0, a 1k goal lead. Things are looking fairly good, and well, the Emperor rises once again, and Emperor has had such a phenomenal split so far. He was our most improved top laner back in spring, and he's just continued that trajectory, and now just looking hands down the best top laner. Hero and Kiai are the only two that's really competing with him for that spot, but Emperor's just been consistently performing so well. As now we're seeing Dia1 maybe stepping too far forward, and this time Genius want to find their revenge. A flash over the wall, but the chase comes through from Yijin. Ignite ticking down, tries to get to the blast cone, but Yijin will be able to get the kill.
Yeah, just Dia1 trying to buy some time with his flash. Ultimately, it was further like it was because he was against 4 members with the Yumi empowered Yijin just chasing him down, giving away 1 kill. And yeah, as you addressed it, I wanted to get you to name better top players than Emperor the split, and I think there isn't really anyone. I mean, Kiaya had a very rough start to the split, and so far, I mean, this series earlier, he looked very good. Kudos to him, but overall, I think Emperor probably the best top laner overall. I think Hero is to some extent just the worst version of him, and Kiaya so far hasn't really done Kiaya things as much as he did in the other splits.
I mean, Kiai did have that insane Gnar performance against Hero when he played on Gnar, I think, in pretty much every game of that series. There's also, I feel like Hero's been the more lane-dominant top laner compared to Emperor, but I don't know, I just feel like Emperor, both in lane, outside of lane, it's just all been so good from him.
I just don't forgive Kiaya for this early game phase where he played like top lane Sejuani and didn't really attribute to anything. Yeah, either way, Yijin just now escaping, Dia1 just busy with the clone, as he's even in CS against Ari. Zerka's rush coming out for him. Also, one item build, talking point I want to address here is, of course, the Chovy item build for the side of Yone. It could happen here again, right, with the Sunfire Cape into Blade of the Wound King for the side of Yone to deal insane amount of damage while still being decently tanky or not being able to get one combat by literally anyone.
And going back to what you talked about as well, as we've got a call off the Forge God in the top lane, flashing forward is DNK. And we'll be able to get the kill on to Coated as Dia1 just has a short trade with Blazes in the mid lane.
He has, but he also still has his Fate Sealed available, so it could just be Blazes dying to a no-lane if he happens to land this ultimate. It is, however, a somewhat telegraphed spell, at least for pro players, as Yijin. He was kind of clone baiting them. That was actually very smart. I think he knew he was in vision, so he pretended to be the clone to really make the bot lane from SBTC panic, and they actually backed off. That would look cool.
Very sneaky from Yijin on the Wukong. First drake of the game is up, and I mean, we saw GAM picking up the first 2 drakes of both series. I think in game 1 of this series, we saw SBTC able to get the early drakes rather uncontested, as the Fate Seal has now been used in the mid lane, and that's presumably why Blazes is knocked out very low.
Yeah, we see it in the HP, but that Fate Seal got indeed used. However, Blazes on his own still is Ignite, so Dia1, if he happens to go for a different kind of play, could still be challenged. Oh no! Yijin went into the Moonfall from DK.
Forced to flash over the wall. Did not think that there was a Diana taking his Raptors.
Yeah, didn't expect the chickens to be that contested, as of course they play against the chicken team. They should have known. I mean, it's just not opposite. They are going for this. Either way, DNK, yeah, level 6 against level 5 can do a lot against something like this Wukong. And also in general, I like this Diana pick a lot because it's also just, yeah, great pairing with the Yone. Not as good as Yasuo, but still very good. And also AP jungler against Wukong. Celebrity, oh, that's toxic. He might just die to it, but Lulu's shield will probably keep him alive, as it just now does.
But to the rescue just in time. I'm not sure if the poison was going to be enough. It would have been close. I think we may have got into the low double digits, but I don't think that would have killed him personally.
Same. I think it wouldn't kill him, but might just use it. Better safe than sorry, right? You don't just need to silence the viewers and just calculate it and then just not press the shield when you have it on cooldown anyway and could use it. As a Drake will likely get taken by GAM Esports. Yeah, not really something a Lulu can do against that, as Palat tries to maybe throw a Glitter Lance. Yijin poked very low, but still very happy to take this one. Gotta say though, Herald on the other side, and I think first Herald definitely of a very much higher value. Could be used in the top lane as well to really break open that matchup. As of course playing on the tank would sound weird, but this Gwen is struggling so much and might just get solo kill again.
And there's just nothing that Coated can do. As soon as the Call of the Forge lands, Slater has been caught out in a 1v2, gets the kill onto Celebrity. And Slater showing that he can hold his own in a 1v2 as a Twitch.
Respectable, and here we see how the 2v2 really played out. I see that there was no ignite used. Celebrity's level 6 and the others out. Oh my god. BOB just gets one tapped basically by the lightning crash. An ability not even being casted for his cast damage, right? But against something like a Yumi, a champion that is that much paper, it just is enough.
Yeah.
Celebrity just wanted to ult to really go into lightning crash mode, but the damage just happened to kill Yumi. It wasn't even its intention in the moment, probably. But yeah, you take the kill when you have it. 2 for 1 for the side of ASE, and also making the 3 for 1 as Emperor was solo killing Gwen again. He's 2 levels ahead of him.
I'm just trying to see what the current gold gap is. 3k gold is the lead for Genius right now. And it's pretty much all on this top side right now. Emperor and DNK playing very, very well in this game. As I've just realized as well, Quincy, I think we forgot to do our MVP votes for the first series.
Maybe we did. I mean, at least for the last game. Regardless of that, here we see another 1v1 all-in. This is when they are still at level 7. I mean, we can't really blame it on the experience difference, as they just now hits level 8, okay? I mean, it's 1 level difference. Yeah, it's Coated, yeah, trying to snip onto him. Yeah, Brittle Pock hurts a lot, as well as the Forge God. If you push a goat into your face, then it hurts the one getting the goat into his face.
I was thinking that this could be the potential turnaround, and Coated is able to get 1 kill, gets a shutdown on it to DNK, but Emperor will flash over the wall and will be able to survive any further aggression from the side of Genius. So SBTC just dropping the ball a little bit with that push.
Definitely doing so, and DNK could have maybe flashed or maybe used his rocket belt because he's going for this offensive AP heavy Diana item build to really get going damage wise. I mean, he has a good early game, I can understand it. What I would usually expect to go for is that he goes for this tanky Diana item build, like there would be no one with like Demonic Embrace Nashos, but also Sunfire Cape or Frostfire to really get this mythic going, where you're still decently tanky but can also chunk out enemies. Probably something similar is maybe DR1 going, but this just now looks like sitting on a Vamp Scepter and going for, I think, the Shield Bow first. So he's going for the traditional item build and not going for this off-tanky stuff that looks a bit cheesy, but would definitely still be effective here, I think.
Talking about cheese when a rat is on the map. Haha, I see what you're doing there. However, things are looking very rough for Genius, and despite them being able to find a kill, being able to get some gold back towards their Coated, they do still find themselves trailing rather massively. I guess the only real positives for them right now is Blazes and Slater. And, well, with BOB on this, Yumi can just sit on top of Slater, and Slater can just pop off, I guess.
That was close. DNK almost sealing the Gromp with the Crescent Strike coming in. As I think there's some yeah. That's the spoot. The spoot on the other side, maybe also a little bit ill. But yeah, no offense taken. By the way, Vetvi producer, I love you. You're very cute, young man or woman. I don't know. Either way, as the Rift Herald is getting casted, 2 guaranteed platings going the way of ASE as well. And with the push, it could also almost be the turret. But with 3 members from side of GAM Esports being close, it will not be more than these 2 plates itself. Not the best Herald ever, but in the league where Ego Rift Herald were a thing, I'm kind of happy that we just get a standard Rift Herald charge onto a 3 plate turret.
Yeah, and just getting some more gold in towards Celebrity. If you can fix this bottom lane, things will look good as Coated. Oh, sidesteps the play from Emperor. Oh, Emperor. Oh, dearie me, that's one way to get dethroned as a king of the top lane.
I think that last steering charge was very, very funny. It's like, oh damn, I missed the Forge God. Just literally ram my head into the wall out of shame and desperation.
What happened was he missed the call of the Forge God, and then he just banged his keyboard, and he happened to just charge in that direction.
Yeah, it's just like both the champion and the player banged the head against the wall in this play. Here we see again how it played out. This is of course how Gwen against On can work. Coated still level down fighting into the minion wave, and yeah, he just lets his needle work this time. Fortune misses, and then Emperor is just like, oh god damn it. He could have at least like bought a second.
Survive.
No, I couldn't survive. Where should he escape to? Like,
I mean, if he goes over the wall, he's out of range of Coated, right? And Coated didn't have Ghost up, so I
How
think he
could
could
he
just
go?
run away.
How could you go over the wall though?
No, not over the wall, but in the direction of Coated's tower, and then he just like runs towards Krugs.
He was so low, he would die to 2 turret shots easily.
Yeah, but that's fine. You waste time. Maybe you get executed.
Yeah, I think you get like, you wouldn't get executed. You just now got hit by the Gwen or in a full combo. I think you can maybe buy 1 more second. That's what I agree with. Either way, with the Wake number 2 being taken by the side of GE, something that isn't really the priority of SPTC Esports this game, as they take the first turret in the top side without even using Herald number 2, which is of course not on the table yet, as it will spawn in a few seconds just now. And Cody needs to be careful that he doesn't face check the Diana, which is of course counter-juggling all the time, and you see also the CS discrepancy in the jungle. It's very, very huge. Wukong is doing a lot of things well in the current meta as a jungler, but not power farming, as Diana really in a position to really clear out the jungle in quick speed, and Yijin struggles to find anything.
Can I just say, how disrespectful is Emperor? He's going up against the Gwen. Can you count how many magic resistance items he has?
1. A Frostfire Gauntlet has 25 MR, because it has 1
Yep.
null magic mantle within it. People tend to forget that. Either way, Celebrity, yeah, you're very, very big right now, as Pilot uses the Wild Growth onto him, and also a mid lane all in.
Like, also, I would just like to clarify, I knew that it had magic resistance in it. I am aware of that. I was just like, it's just the fact that he's now going for more armor with a frozen heart as well, just essentially saying, look, Coated Blazes, I don't care about you guys at all. The only worry that I remotely have is Slater's Twitch.
Understandable, have a nice day, is what I say. I gotta say though, Frozen Heart has some value against the Gwen, because Gwen is also kind of an out-attacker. Either way we see Day 1 here. Yeah, he has to snap back, and Jijin has a second Cyclone cast, so it will be a dead Day 1. And as I say that, I mean, Frozen Heart, just a good gold efficient item overall. Gotta say though, if he really would respect Coated and his Gwen, he would have more MR for sure. I mean, you could at least just drop in another null magic mantle, go for like Force of Nature second or something. You don't even need a full item, maybe just a Negatroll cloak is enough. But he wasn't going for that. Maybe it would have helped him in this other all-in that he was losing. And regardless of that, ASE Esports now, they need to maybe propel the gold lead. Emperor in a 1v3 right now, and he will likely go down.
Actually, Slater's taking so much damage, he's forced to flash as well. Maybe picking up the armor was a pretty good thing for Emperor, because he's just saying, look, I don't want to lane into Coated anymore. I'm laning against Slater and Yijin now.
Nah, he should have just gone blasting one to have more damage on the Forge God. So
True.
you can actually kill him with the double cast of it. I mean, you of course have damage scaling on the resistances as well on Ornn, because Ornn is just that good of a champion. Regardless of that, mid lane turret number 1 being focused down. And what my overall talking point was, this game, Genius Esports is scaling very, very well. They got the first 2 Drakes, and they are only down 3k at 17 right now. I mean, the gold lead was 3k like 7 minutes ago as well. And SE is playing very sloppily. This could be a game where Genius Esports find the upset.
As we said in Game 1, GE stands for Grief Esports. They're in the first stage of grief. They're in denial. They still believe that they can beat SBTC. And we have checked for the next stages. The next stage is anger. So we're waiting to see the angry plays, you know, the desperate coin flips around an objective.
I think maybe anger was already what Coated did to Emperor earlier, where he was like actually winning the first one. And maybe we go to bargaining very, very soon, as Rift Turret number 2 gets used, but this will be the mid lane tier 1 turret for sure. And maybe SE just goes for more here. And this is a very important photo point, I would think, because this is a very important map control point in general. And Drakes are watching Esports is really fighting over, and dropping the mid lane tier 1 turret can be very detrimental in the negative sense. As if SE just now starts racking up Mountain Drakes, potentially up to 4 Mountain Drakes for something like an Ornn, they will be very, very hard to kill even for Twitch.
Maybe this is a bargaining right now. Genius saying, look, you want to play on the bottom side? We're just going to let Cody get some tower plates on the top side.
I think this is bargaining for sure, yeah. It's literally what bargaining is all about. But then later on, you know what's about to come. It will be depression, so maybe this will just be the loss of a Baron, the loss of a Mountain Drake, as DR1, yeah, he's fighting the 1v3 right now. Or maybe it's just them bringing DR1 into depression.
So, the thing is, I really want to go down the 5 stages of grief, but genuinely, Genius Esports are finding ways into this game. They're keeping the goal lead or their gold deficit relatively stable, only 3.5 or 2.5k gold behind. So it's a respectable deficit, and Yijin is very strong. Slater caught out, no flash available, but will be able to cleanse the slow. A Celebrity hopping over the wall, but will not be able to land the Ultra Shock Laser on to Slater.
Yeah, just that. And maybe they're just rushing through these stages of grief pretty quickly. I mean, maybe it's just them already being limit testing after they put Tier 1 into depression. And the acceptance is the last stage, so this will actually be when they are finally online with their composition. As I say that though, it will be the Mountain Break right now. Looks to be prime position for the side of SPTC Esports, as also the Scuttle Crab vision got faded away. And as I said before, mid lane Tier 1 turret is gone. But as I said, maybe DNK is too late for it. It could be the third break uncontested for them.
The Searing Charge did not find the knock-up onto Blazes. Blaze is trying to bait Emperor to dash towards him so that he can then sidestep the knock-up. Can't do it that time, and Blaze is actually not doing very well into this one, but just buying time for Yijin to be able to secure the third Drake of the game, and that's 3 Drakes. That's Mountain Soul point as well for the side of Genius.
It's definitely starting to get scary now. ASE has kind of been doing nothing the last 10 minutes. I mean, it was a 3k gold lead then. This is a 3k gold lead right now. Maybe even a bit less than that. Got every single Drake so far. The top lane matchup that went so brilliantly for them isn't working that good anymore. And Yijin could just dive Emperor.
Yep, and Blazes is following as well. Spirit Rush lands a charm. Yijin gets the kill. Now there's a teleport from Dia 1. Celebrity is slowly making his way over, but until then, this is a 2v1 play. Dashing out of the Fate Steel is Blazes, and now they can look to dive Dia 1 under
Shield
tower.
bow.
Immortal Shield Bow will give a very nice shield as the Ultra Shock Laser will land, and that's a kill for the side of SBTC. And Palette makes his way over and picks up a free kill onto Yijin.
Palette even takes a shutdown, which is something that he probably doesn't even want to have. Wants to have it likely on the side of someone like Celebrity or maybe even Dia 1, as he shows us how really good Shield Bow is still of an item. Just making him survive that situation and just dealing so much damage to the side of Blazes. The shield really helping him survive it as well. And that is just Genius Esports overreaching a little bit. I mean, gold lead, as I said before, kind of stagnating since more than 10 minutes right now, but this may be an opening for the side of SPTC Esports to just instantly go for the Baron, as Yijin as a smite carrier is still down. The Baron very much melting quickly. We see another replay of what happened there. TP coming out. It was looking very dangerous for Dia 1, as he could maybe be taken down as well. TP takes 4 seconds and a bit more to really channel, so not enough time to really help out his top laner, and Dia 1 makes the best out of it, but buys time for his carries.
This was a point where bargaining became depression, I think. And now all that's left is acceptance for Genius. Oh, Palette, just over the wall, lands a Glitter Lance, and then the Help Picks as well to pick up the kill. Such an awkward ability name as well, Help Picks. Like, how are you meant to actually cast that?
You don't, I think. It's just like Watch Out Eep. But actually, Watch Out Eep is pretty epic, right? I mean, if you like a play-by-play caster, you can make good work of it. But Help Picks, it just doesn't give the right feel to it, because I mean, Watch Out Eep is something that you would usually say to the enemy, right? But Help Picks is something you say to your fairy companion. And I think we just now went through the stages of testing and bargaining, and this was the stage where we were like, yeah, maybe Grief Esports actually wins this game, but right now, I mean, game broken open again, like 2 picks given away to SPTC, Baron as well, and now it's yet again almost 6,000 gold lead yet again for them. Also, Emperor starting to upgrade these ornaments, as he just now got the Rhymeforged Grasp on this side, and can keep upgrading his teammates' items with every level he gets, almost like around 1,000 gold worth of stats. Is what he gets per level.
I'm proud of you, Quincy, for knowing what that item name is called. I'm just too lazy to learn any of them.
I mean, you know who I am. I mean, you can guess. I know them all.
Yeah, but that's abilities. I didn't think you had spent that time for the items as well. As the Genius getting caught out as the side of SBTC continue to siege in the mid lane. Not looking to split push, just looking to fully charge in one lane, and that inner tower taking a fair bit of damage from the Baron empowered super minion that's just sitting outside of tower and throwing out purple bloblets at the tower.
Slater.
Seal goes in, instant snapback from Dia 1 as now Genius potentially try to turn, but Emperor just tanks up so much of the damage. There's absolutely nothing Genius can do.
And I love how you call the Baron empowered cannon a super minion. That's not quite what it is, but the damage is kind of comparable. So it actually was intentional by you. Let's just pretend it was that. Yeah. Either way of that. 100%. Just now, the results of the Baron push being strong for the side of SPTC Esports. Also very good all-in. Tried to be pulled on Slater, who had to use his flash. Also BOB. Maybe even as a panic reaction. Maybe even just to dissuade Dia 1 going further using the final chapter over there. And this just bought some room, bought some gold, especially for sort of SPTC Esports to fight over this next mountain break, which would be, in case they were the ones griefing it, would be the soul for the side of Genius Esports. But I think SPTC Esports right now in a very comfortable position for this, as the Baron is still onto them. They can establish priority in both mid lane and bot lane easily with it, and with their gold lead just now extending quite a fair bit, Emperor hitting level 14, and also Emperor could be the one they have to face check, which is not really easy to do on anyone's side for side of Genius Esports. It should be the Drake for SPTC and them stabilizing in this game to really do more. What is that mobility?
DNK Slater was about 2 screens away, and DNK just gets onto him in the blink of an eye. Nothing Slater can do. I can't even fault him for being overextended there.
Slater just picked ADC, that's the problem, right? You have no flash, you have no dash. He just went out of base, and that was just a mistake he really did there. And really, I just want to highlight it on a positive note, right? It was just a sick play by Paladin DNK.
Yes, agreed. Now it is the Genius getting their inhibitor tower broken, getting their base destroyed. Slater still down. For a second, I thought SPTC were going to leave the inhibitor up, but they don't. They're going to make their way down towards the Drake and deny the soul from Genius, and mean that Genius have to wait 5 more minutes for a potential way back into this game.
Very, very sad to see for them. They have to give away this one Drake. This would have been the soul for them, and also kind of getting their back broken by the sick engage by the side of DNK and Palette. It was just the Diana getting speed up by, I think, Chevaliers, then the Whimsy by the side of Lulu. You will see again how it really played out. Yeah, Chevaliers into like the ability to give movement speed from Lulu's side, and then just double dashing instead of DNK, rocket belt further, channeling the Moonfall, and then just punishing the flashless Twitch, and it's just nothing that Slater can do. Very brilliant play by him. And with Slater being down, I mean, who deals damage on the side of Genius Esports? No one deals at least enough damage to really threaten the SPTC Esports, so they could just waltz forward, get another pick, get the inhibitor, and on the way back just get this dragon. And here just now we see, yeah, when the Crescent Strike by the side of Diana really deals damage if you just go the full AP build.
And I wasn't actually thinking about just how much maneuverability DNK has as a Diana, because you've got 2 dashes, because you can dash if you land your Crescent Strike, and then you can dash again, as right now Coated is in a 1v4, but DNK will pick up the kill with the Moonfall.
DNK really the player to highlight here. I mean, it's just double dash from his Lunar Rush, and also like Rocket Belt being in there. He could also flash, like Chevaliers on the Lulu, the Whimsy on the Lulu. There's just so much to really get mobility from. Yeah, 2 screens away as we saw earlier. And DNK in general this game, I think he makes a good argument to be this game's MVP at least, because I mean, we have seen him on the Diana making this move early, like even pre-6, where Diana even really shouldn't be strong, getting this pick onto Blaze in the mid lane, and he never really stopped from there. I mean, he's very much dominating this game, and one of the main reasons why they are making Slater's life so hard.
I think DNK has played really well. So has Palette, I think. Also, to be fair, I think Slater and Yijin have also played well for the side of Genius. And I think, you know, for our 3-2-1 votes that we've got to do, I think I might give one of my points towards one of them. I don't know which, but maybe one of them.
Maybe Yijin. I thought what was pretty sick was that play where he was like pretending to be the clone, and he knew he was spotted, so he made the bot lane panic from SPTC. That was kind of goofy, and I kind of love him for that. Either way, Yijin has a very good game in the loss yet again this time, as there's a bit of a standoff around the Baron.
And this is just going to be SPTC looking for another play, chunking out Coated so incredibly low. And now they just turn their attention towards the Baron Nashor once again. In fact, they might even go and look for a little Deathbrush play.
Might just be, oh, it's a very good flank.
In goes a DNK, and that's already going to be 1 of 40. The Cyclone will get used. Yijin's still alive, but not for much longer. Palette picks up another kill. Now they're looking for Blaze's Spirit rushes away. SPTC only able to get 1 kill from the play, but it is onto the jungler, and it means there is no smite available for Genius to try to steal this Baron Nashor away.
Yeah, that just means Baron, also Coated being chunked out earlier, being forced to P up to this position to really do anything against them. But I think that's maybe not even enough. I mean, they can just probably rush it down. The only really hopeful side of SPTC would be the fight itself, or for Genius Esports, so to say. And I think the fight itself can also be blocked decently by the side of Celebrity and Dubais.
Gear 1 is not involved in this fight, so this is just a 4v4. Good charm from Blazes, and in the end, Genius able to stop the Baron from being completed. so they stop SBTC kind of converting on that kill that they found onto Yijin.
And that's very good defensive play by the side of GNC Esports, I would say, because they were kind of managing the fight decently without losing too many members. Stop the Baron, but right now, I mean, SBTC Esports does this funny play where they just keep trying and trying again until it works. Now, of course, with Yijin being better alive, it's theoretically a bit more risky, but he just might be too late for it.
Slater is here, throws the Venom Cask over the wall. Yijin just too late, and Dia1 spots out Yijin, goes in for a quick play, and for a second I thought Yijin was going to be sent right back to the grey screen, but Yijin able to survive. Now, the next objective is that Mountain Drake, which is in just under a minute's time, so Yijin, very important that he doesn't get caught out before that.
Yeah, very important not to get caught out there, and it's just very, very sad to see for the side of GAM Esports to really have like this position where they were like kind of stabilizing in the early mid game, and it was like looking like they were really in the control of the late game if they happened to get there in a somewhat even state. But then SBTC Esports with those 2 picks in the bot lane and then just rushing this first Baron kind of just took over and never really let go. And per level 15, he might just go in too harshly, I would say, but he's on. He's just so tanky, can do whatever he wants.
Good charm call of the Forge God comes through. Everfrost will lock Emperor down in place, and all of this from the side of SBTC, just so that they can get some priority in the bottom lane, just so that they can force Genius away from the river. Yijin's just hovering, waiting for a moment. He's going to be having eyes for Celebrity and Palette. Good whimsy from Palette means that Yijin can't find that potential flank cyclone.
Yeah, can't find more than that. Drake also not spawned yet. It will just now be in a position for SC to take, but they just right now prefer this bot lane siege.
And that's going to be the Ornn dead. So 1 kill already going to the side of Genius Esports. Now they're looking for more DNK. Forced to flash over the wall. Dia1 teleporting in. Good Fate Seal will be snapping back momentarily. The Wild Growth keeping him alive for even longer. Now he's looking towards the Blazes, but it will be a shutdown.
Celebrity!
Flashing forward with a lightning crash. And it is Celebrity's time to shine. Picks up a triple kill. Now looking for a quadra. Maybe could get the penta. Over the wall it goes. Celebrity. Can he get on top of Yijin? Yijin is slowed. One does fire. Another. And it's a pentakill for Celebrity. No, is it not?
It is a pentakill. I think it apparently timed up, but everyone has that on the side of GS, but so I don't wonder really why it really wasn't a penta officially. But do we really care? Let's be honest, Mikey. I mean, it was a pentakill for us. It also looked like a very bad, unnecessarily risky fight for the side of SE Esports, but Celebrity wasn't having any of that. He just storms in, lives up to his name, and absolutely carried that fight with his lightning crash. And yeah, gets 1, gets 2, gets 3, gets 4, gets 5, gets them all. I don't care if it's an official penta or not. This was our Celebrity pentakill. I think was it the first one of the split? I'm not quite sure.
Yes.
It was?
Yeah.
Makes it even better.
No, I'm mad. I'm mad, Quincy, because in Spring Split, I got to cast 2 pentas, but both times I didn't realize they were bloody happening because it was so chaotic. So I cast them really badly, and then this time I was like, I know it's a penta! And then it doesn't happen. So I feel like I'm being trolled by Riot right now, but there we go.
So maybe that's how it works. You only realize it will be a penta when it actually won't.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Either way, a good result from SBTC. A little bit shaky in game 2, but SBTC back to winning ways after... Well, they needed to get back to winning ways after losing their last 2 series against the other 2 top teams in the league.
Exactly, that's what happened, and yeah, ASE Esports, just now, I mean, they had this little slump, they just now get back to winning tracks. Of course, beating Genius Esports, maybe not the most impressive thing in general. Also, GAM beating ASE Esports, you could say maybe the same about that, as ASE Esports, of course, looks better right now. But tomorrow, very exciting day, I gotta say. SGB taking on Team Secret, which, yeah, some other analysts want to tell me that TSN will actually not clearly win this series and actually be in a position to lose against the MSI representative we had from the Spring Split. And Cerberus, my favorite team, versus Team Wales, your favorite team. This will be a good one.
Yeah, it's genuinely tomorrow is going to be a really fun day. Saturday as well. GAM, Psych, and Buffalo, Team Secret against Cerberus. Our favorite teams going against each other. I think we're both on the desk for that one, so maybe we can think of something.
I think I'm not.
Are you not? In that case, I get to just flame you, and you can't respond. But either way, that is all of our series done for the day. GAM taking a 2-0 win over ASE Esports. and SBTC taking a 2-0 win against Genius. Make sure you tune in tomorrow as Saigon Buffalo take on Secret and Cerberus take on Team Wells. But from myself and Quincy, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.